the quiet mind beneath your thoughts. Hi there, and welcome to a gentle journey into one of the most mysterious places you will ever explore, your own mind. As you settle in, allow your breathing to become slow and natural. There is nothing you need to solve right now, nothing you need to remember, and nowhere else you need to be. For the next little while, we are simply going to notice the quiet intelligence that has been working inside you since long before you knew how to speak. At this very moment, your subconscious mind is doing far more than you may realize. It is helping regulate your breathing, adjusting your posture, interpreting sounds around you, recognizing familiar patterns, and preparing emotional reactions before your conscious mind has fully understood what is happening. You do not need to carefully instruct your body to perform each of these tasks. They unfold softly and automatically beneath the surface of awareness. This hidden activity is often called the subconscious, although scientists may use more precise terms such as unconscious processing, automatic cognition, implicit memory, or non-conscious perception. These expressions describe mental processes that influence thoughts and behavior without appearing clearly in conscious awareness. Imagine your conscious mind as a small circle of lamplight in a dark and peaceful room. Inside that light are the thoughts you can notice right now, the sound of these words, the feeling of your body resting, perhaps an image or memory passing through your attention. But beyond that circle of light is an enormous space filled with stored experiences, learned habits, emotional associations, bodily signals, and patterns gathered throughout your life. Most of this information does not need to enter awareness. It simply waits quietly, ready to guide you when needed. One of the most relaxing facts about the subconscious is that much of your daily life is supported by automatic processes. When you first learned to walk, every movement required effort. Your brain had to coordinate balance, muscle tension, distance, and timing. Later, walking became so natural that you could cross a room while thinking about something entirely different. The same transformation occurs when learning to read, type, drive, play an instrument, or perform a familiar task. At first, the conscious mind works carefully through every step. With repetition, the brain builds smoother pathways, and the skill gradually moves into automatic control. This is why an experienced pianist does not consciously name every note while playing a familiar melody. It is why you can recognize a friend's face almost instantly, even though you cannot explain every tiny feature that made recognition possible. The subconscious mind is remarkably skilled at identifying patterns. Your brain constantly compares the present moment with previous experiences. It notices similarities in voices, facial expressions, environments, and situations. These comparisons happen incredibly quickly, often before conscious reasoning begins. Sometimes this creates the feeling that you simply know something without knowing exactly why. Perhaps you enter a room and sense that someone is uncomfortable. No one has said anything, yet your mind may have noticed a stiff posture, an unusual pause, lowered eyes, or a small change in tone. Each signal may be too subtle to notice consciously, but together they can create a quiet emotional impression. This is one scientific explanation for what people often call intuition. Intuition is not necessarily a mysterious voice from outside the mind. In many situations, it may be the brain rapidly combining fragments of information, memories, and learned patterns. The final conclusion reaches awareness, but the hidden steps remain invisible. It can feel as though the answer appeared from nowhere. However, intuition is not always correct. The subconscious also carries old fears, assumptions, and biases. It may react to a new situation as though it was similar to something from the past, even when important details are different. This is why a gut feeling can sometimes protect us and sometimes mislead us. The subconscious is not a perfect oracle. It is more like a quiet prediction system, constantly using previous experience to guess what may happen next. Your emotional reactions often begin in this hidden territory. Before you consciously decide that something is threatening, comforting, embarrassing, or exciting, the nervous system may already be changing. Your heart rate may increase. Your muscles may tighten. Your breathing may become shallow. Or, in the presence of safety, your shoulders may soften and your breath may deepen. These bodily responses are not separate from the mind. They are part of how the brain creates emotion. An emotion is not only a thought. It is a full-body event involving memory, attention, hormones, muscles, breathing, and internal sensations. The conscious mind may later create a story to explain the feeling, but the physical reaction may have started first. This can explain why someone may say, "I know everything is fine, but I still feel nervous." Conscious reasoning and automatic emotional systems do not always move at the same speed. The thinking mind may understand that a situation is safe, while the body is still responding to an older association. Fortunately, the subconscious mind can learn new patterns. It changes through repetition, experience, attention, and emotional meaning. When a person repeatedly practices a calm response in a situation that once caused fear, the nervous system can gradually update its expectations. New associations can form. Old reactions may become weaker. This process is usually gentle rather than instant. The brain learns from what happens repeatedly. A single reassuring thought may help for a moment, but a pattern of safe experiences can influence the deeper automatic systems of the mind. This is one reason routines are so powerful. A familiar bedtime ritual, for example, can become a signal of safety. Dimming the lights, hearing quiet music, reading slowly, or listening to a calm voice may tell the nervous system that the active part of the day is ending. Over time, the body may begin to relax as soon as the ritual starts. The subconscious connects places, sounds, scents, movements, and emotions. A certain song may bring back a vivid memory. The smell of rain may create a feeling you cannot immediately explain. A familiar room may cause your body to relax before you consciously remember why it feels safe. These associations are stored in networks rather than neat little files. Memory is not simply a recording that plays back exactly as it happened. Each time a memory is recalled, the brain may rebuild it using fragments of sensation, emotion, meaning, and present-day understanding. This makes memory flexible, useful, and sometimes imperfect. Some memories can influence behavior even when they cannot be consciously described. This is known as implicit memory. It includes learned movements, emotional associations, familiar habits, and automatic expectations. You may not remember the exact moment you learned a certain response, yet the response can still appear. The hidden mind is always learning from repetition. Every small action is a kind of message. When you repeat a behavior in the same situation, the brain begins to expect it. The connection between the situation and the response becomes stronger. At first, you choose the action. Later, the situation itself may seem to trigger it. This is how habits form. A habit is not a moral failure or a sign of weak character. It is the brain's way of saving effort. By automating familiar behaviors, the mind preserves conscious attention for new or difficult problems. The same mechanism can create helpful habits and unhelpful ones. A person may automatically reach for a glass of water after waking, or automatically check a phone during a quiet moment. In both cases, the brain has learned a sequence. A cue appears, a behavior follows, and some form of reward completes the pattern. Because habits are learned, they can also be reshaped. Changing them often works better when we understand the cue and reward rather than relying only on willpower. The subconscious responds strongly to environments, timing, repetition, and emotional comfort. A small change in the environment can sometimes be more effective than a large promise. Placing a book beside the bed may make reading easier. Keeping distracting objects out of sight may reduce automatic impulses. Preparing a calm space before sleep may help the brain associate that space with rest. The subconscious does not need dramatic commands. It often changes through quiet consistency. And perhaps that is the most comforting idea to carry with you tonight. Beneath your thoughts, there is not an enemy or a strange hidden creature. There is a complex system trying to protect you, predict the world, conserve energy, and use everything it has learned. Sometimes it uses outdated information. Sometimes it reacts too quickly. Sometimes it creates habits you no longer need. But it can continue learning. With patience, repetition, rest, and gentle attention, the hidden patterns of the mind can slowly become more flexible. So as you breathe softly now, remember that you do not have to consciously manage every part of yourself. Your body knows how to breathe. Your heart knows how to beat. Your brain knows how to organize countless signals without asking for your help. For a moment, you can simply rest inside that quiet intelligence. And somewhere beneath the surface, your subconscious mind is still listening, still learning, and gently preparing you for sleep. Why dreams feel so real? As you rest and allow the day to become quieter, your mind begins to move toward a very unusual state. The outside world slowly loses its importance. The room becomes softer. Thoughts become less organized. Images appear without invitation. Memories mix with imagination. Places change suddenly, people arrive without explanation, and strange events may feel completely natural. This is the world of dreams. Dreaming is one of the clearest examples of how much the mind can create without conscious control. During a dream, you are not usually choosing every face, sound, emotion, or landscape. The experience forms on its own, guided by memory, emotion, perception, and the brain's hidden activity. And yet, while the dream is happening, it can feel astonishingly real. A dream may create the sensation of running through a forest, standing beside the ocean, speaking with someone from long ago, or discovering a place that has never existed. You may feel fear, joy, sadness, surprise, or peace as strongly as you would while awake. The brain can produce a complete inner world without receiving much information from the senses. During sleep, especially during rapid eye movement sleep, often called REM sleep, many areas of the brain remain highly active. Regions involved in emotion, visual imagery, and memory can become especially engaged. At the same time, parts of the brain responsible for careful logic and self-monitoring may become less active. This may help explain why dreams can be emotional and vivid but also strange and illogical. In waking life, your conscious mind constantly checks reality. It notices when something is impossible, when time does not make sense, or when a place suddenly changes. In dreams, this reality-checking system becomes less strict. You may be in your childhood home one moment and on another planet the next, without asking how you arrived there. The dreaming mind accepts unusual transitions with remarkable ease. Scientists do not yet have one complete explanation for why we dream. Dreams may serve several functions rather than only one. They may be connected to memory processing, emotional regulation, learning, creativity, and the brain's attempt to organize recent experiences. One influential idea is that sleep helps the brain sort and strengthen memories. Throughout the day, you take in an enormous amount of information. You hear conversations, notice faces, solve problems, react emotionally, and absorb details that never become fully conscious. During sleep, the brain appears to review and reorganize some of this material. Important information may be strengthened. Less useful details may fade. New experiences may be connected with older memories. Dreams could be one result of this nighttime organization. Imagine that the brain is gently moving through a vast library after closing time. Some memories are placed beside similar ones. Some are examined again. Some are combined in new and unusual ways. Others are allowed to become quieter. The dream may be the feeling of walking through that library while the shelves are being rearranged. This is why recent experiences often appear in dreams, but rarely in a perfectly accurate form. A conversation from the morning may blend with a place from childhood. A person you saw briefly may appear with the voice of someone else. A worry about work may become a dream about missing a train. The mind does not always replay events directly. Instead, it transforms them. Emotions seem especially important in this process. Experiences that carry fear, excitement, embarrassment, grief, or hope are more likely to influence dreams. The subconscious mind may return to emotionally meaningful material because it has not yet been fully integrated. This does not mean every dream contains a secret message. It is tempting to believe that every object in a dream has one fixed meaning. A staircase must represent ambition. Water must represent emotion. Flying must represent freedom. But scientific evidence does not support a universal dream dictionary that applies equally to everyone. The meaning of a dream image depends heavily on the dreamer. A dog may represent comfort to one person and fear to another. A school may bring feelings of curiosity, pressure, safety, or loneliness depending on personal experience. The same symbol can carry completely different associations in different minds. Dreams are built from individual memory. This is also why forgotten experiences can suddenly return during sleep. A place you have not thought about for years may appear with surprising detail. A person from the distant past may speak to you. A melody you barely remember may begin playing. The information was not necessarily gone. It may simply have been outside conscious access. Human memory is much larger than the small portion we can deliberately recall at any moment. The subconscious stores fragments of voices, colors, movements, emotional tones, and sensory impressions. During dreams, these fragments can rise more freely because the conscious mind is no longer directing attention in the usual way. Dreams can also reveal the brain's remarkable ability to simulate experience. A simulation is an internal model of something that might happen. While awake, the brain constantly predicts what comes next. It estimates where an object will move, how someone may respond, and whether a situation feels safe. During dreams, this predictive system may continue working without normal sensory limits. Some researchers suggest that dreams allow the brain to practice possible situations. A dream about danger may rehearse escape. A dream about social conflict may explore emotional reactions. A dream about success may simulate hope and reward. These simulations do not have to be realistic to influence learning. The brain learns not only from what truly happens, but also from what it imagines. This is why mental rehearsal can improve certain skills. Athletes, musicians, and performers often imagine movements before completing them. The brain activates some of the same networks during vivid imagination that it uses during real action. Dreams may be a natural form of mental rehearsal, although much less controlled. Sometimes the dreaming mind also creates new connections that would be unlikely during waking thought. Ideas that seem unrelated may become linked. A visual image may combine with an old memory and produce an unexpected solution. There are many stories of scientists, artists, and inventors finding inspiration in dreams. These stories should not make us believe that dreams are magical sources of perfect answers. Most dreams are confusing and quickly forgotten. Yet the unusual freedom of the dreaming mind can support creativity. During the day, conscious thinking often follows familiar rules. We reject ideas that seem unrealistic. We organize information carefully. We try to remain consistent. Dreams loosen those rules. The subconscious can combine information without immediately deciding whether the result is sensible. This may allow rare and original associations to appear. Another fascinating dream state is lucid dreaming. A lucid dream occurs when a person becomes aware that they are dreaming while the dream continues. In that moment, part of reflective consciousness seems to return. The dreamer may recognize the unreality of the situation and, in some cases, influence what happens next. Some people can choose to fly, change the setting, or speak directly to dream characters. Lucid dreaming shows that consciousness is not simply on or off. It exists in different degrees. During ordinary dreaming, self-awareness is limited. During a lucid dream, awareness becomes stronger without fully waking the body. This strange state offers scientists a valuable way to study consciousness. In laboratory experiments, trained lucid dreamers have sometimes communicated from within a dream using planned eye movements. Their sleeping bodies remained still, but their eyes followed a signal agreed upon before sleep. This allowed researchers to know when the dreamer had become lucid. Even more surprisingly, some studies have suggested that people in lucid dreams may respond to simple questions while asleep. This does not mean complex conversations are easy, but it shows that limited communication between the waking world and the dreaming mind may be possible. Sleep is not complete mental silence. The brain continues to listen. Sounds from the environment can sometimes enter dreams. An alarm may become a bell inside a dream. Rain outside may transform into the sound of a river. Someone speaking nearby may appear as a dream character. The sleeping mind does not always wake immediately. Sometimes it weaves the sound into the story. Dreams also remind us how the brain creates our sense of reality. While awake, it may seem that we simply see the world exactly as it is. But perception is not a passive recording. The brain interprets sensory signals, fills in missing information, predicts what should be present, and creates a stable experience. Dreaming uses a similar system, but with far less input from the outside. The result is an internally generated reality. This can help us understand why dream emotions are so powerful. The brain does not need an external danger to produce fear. It does not need a real reunion to produce joy. It can create the emotional response from imagined events. To the nervous system, a vivid mental experience can temporarily feel meaningful and immediate. This is also why nightmares can affect the body so strongly. A frightening dream may increase heart rate, breathing, and muscle tension. The person may wake suddenly with the body already prepared to respond to danger. Even after realizing that the threat was not real, the physical feeling may remain for several minutes. The conscious mind understands quickly. The body may need longer to calm down. Nightmares often become more common during periods of stress. When the nervous system is alert during the day, the emotional intensity may continue into sleep. Worries can be transformed into dramatic stories, threatening images, or repeated themes. This does not mean the dream predicts something bad. It often means the brain is processing emotional pressure. Gentle routines before sleep may help reduce this intensity. Quiet breathing, lower lighting, relaxing sounds, and reduced stimulation can signal to the nervous system that the environment is safe. The subconscious notices these signals. It learns from the atmosphere you create. Perhaps the most peaceful way to think about dreams is not as puzzles that must be solved, but as natural movements of the sleeping mind. Some may reflect recent concerns. Some may connect memories. Some may be creative experiments. Others may simply be fragments formed by spontaneous brain activity. You do not need to understand every dream. You do not need to search for a hidden warning in every strange image. Sometimes a dream is simply the mind wandering through its own enormous collection of memories, emotions, and possibilities. And as you move closer to sleep, you may soon enter that mysterious world yourself. The room around you may fade. Your thoughts may become softer. A picture may appear in your mind without effort. One idea may slowly become another. The conscious mind will loosen its careful grip. And beneath it, the dreaming mind will begin its quiet work, sorting, combining, remembering, imagining, and creating worlds that exist only for a little while in the peaceful darkness of sleep. The quiet language of the body. As you become more comfortable, allow your attention to rest gently on the body. Notice how it is supported beneath you. Notice the natural rhythm of your breathing. You do not need to change anything. Simply observe how much is already happening without effort. Your heart continues to beat. Your lungs continue to move. Tiny muscles adjust your posture. Your eyes make small movements beneath closed lids. Warmth travels through your skin, and your nervous system quietly gathers information from every part of you. The body is always communicating. Long before you consciously explain how you feel, your body may already be showing it. A slight tightening around the mouth, a change in breathing, a lowered voice, a shift in posture, or a brief movement of the eyes can reveal that something inside has changed. This does not mean the body always tells a simple or perfectly readable story. Human behavior is complex. One gesture can have many meanings. Crossed arms may signal discomfort, but they may also mean that someone is cold, relaxed, or simply standing in a familiar way. Still, the subconscious mind is constantly noticing these physical details. When you meet another person, your brain begins forming impressions almost immediately. It observes facial expression, tone of voice, movement, distance, rhythm, and timing. Much of this happens before you consciously decide what you think. You may feel comfortable around someone without knowing exactly why. Or you may feel slightly uneasy, even though the person has said nothing openly threatening. These impressions can come from very small signals. A voice may sound warmer than usual. A smile may appear a fraction of a second too late. Someone may turn their body away while continuing to speak politely. Their words may say one thing while their posture suggests something different. The subconscious mind is sensitive to patterns of agreement and disagreement. When words, voice, and body language match, communication often feels clear. When they do not match, the brain may create a feeling of uncertainty. You might not consciously identify the reason, but you sense that something is unusual. This is one source of what people call a gut feeling. A gut feeling can seem mysterious because it often arrives as a bodily sensation rather than a complete thought. You may feel tension in the stomach, heaviness in the chest, warmth in the face, or a sudden urge to step back. These sensations are connected to the nervous system. The brain and the digestive system communicate continuously through nerves, hormones, immune signals, and chemical messengers. The large network of nerve cells in the digestive tract is sometimes informally called the second brain, although it does not think in the same way as the brain in the skull. It does, however, respond strongly to emotion. Stress can change digestion. Fear can create nausea. Excitement can feel like butterflies in the stomach. Calmness can soften abdominal muscles and allow digestion to proceed more comfortably. The phrase gut feeling is therefore more literal than it may sound. The body may respond to information before the conscious mind forms a clear explanation. Imagine walking alone and hearing an unexpected sound behind you. Before you identify the sound, your heart may accelerate. Your muscles may tense, and your attention may sharpen. The body prepares first. The explanation comes later. This rapid response is part of an ancient survival system. For most of human history, reacting quickly to possible danger was often more important than analyzing it perfectly. The nervous system learned to treat uncertainty with caution. A branch moving in the darkness might be harmless, but responding as though it might be an animal could keep someone alive. Modern life is very different, yet the same system still operates. A difficult email, an unfamiliar room, or a change in someone's tone can activate parts of the body that once responded to physical threats. The subconscious does not always clearly separate emotional danger from physical danger. This is why a stressful conversation can make the heart race even when there is no need to run. The brain senses possible conflict. The body prepares for action. Energy becomes available. Breathing changes. Muscles receive more blood. Attention narrows. This is useful in a true emergency. But when stress continues for too long, the body may remain prepared even after the danger has passed. Learning to notice physical signals can help the conscious mind understand what the subconscious is experiencing. A tight jaw may reveal hidden frustration. Shallow breathing may suggest anxiety. Heavy shoulders may be connected to fatigue or emotional pressure. The body often whispers before it shouts. A small sensation may appear before a strong emotional reaction. When it is noticed early, there may be more time to respond calmly. This kind of awareness is sometimes called interoception. Interoception is the brain's ability to sense the internal condition of the body. It includes awareness of heartbeat, breathing, hunger, temperature, tension, thirst, and many other signals. Some people notice these sensations very clearly. Others become aware only when the signals grow strong. Interoception plays an important role in emotion because feelings are partly constructed from bodily information. The brain notices changes inside the body and tries to interpret what they mean. A fast heartbeat could mean fear. It could also mean excitement, physical effort, anticipation, or too much caffeine. The sensation itself does not always contain a complete emotional label. The brain combines it with the surrounding situation. This helps explain why similar physical sensations can create different experiences. Imagine standing behind a curtain before speaking to a large audience. Your heart is beating quickly. Your hands are warm. Your breathing is faster. You may interpret this as fear, but another person may experience the same signals and call them excitement. The body provides information, and the mind creates meaning. This relationship between body and interpretation is one reason gentle self-talk can be helpful. Saying, "My body is preparing me," may create a different experience from saying, "Something is wrong with me." The physical response may be similar, but the meaning changes. Over time, the subconscious can learn from these interpretations. Body language also shapes how people respond to one another. Human beings are naturally social, and the nervous system pays close attention to signs of safety. A relaxed face, soft eyes, slow movements, and a calm voice can signal that the environment is peaceful. These signals may help another person's body relax without either person discussing it. This is sometimes described as emotional contagion. People can unconsciously mirror expressions, posture, and tone. When one person smiles naturally, another may begin to smile. When someone speaks very quietly, others often lower their voices. The body responds to bodies. Even breathing rhythms can influence social interaction. During a calm conversation, two people may gradually begin to match each other's pace. Their movements may become more synchronized. This does not happen because they have consciously planned it. It emerges from attention, trust, and the brain's tendency to coordinate with others. The same process can occur in groups. A calm person may help settle a tense room. An anxious person may increase the alertness of those nearby. People are constantly exchanging emotional information through signals that may never become words. One especially interesting type of signal is the microexpression. A microexpression is a very brief facial movement that may appear when an emotion begins before it is consciously controlled. It can last only a fraction of a second. A flash of surprise, anger, sadness, or fear may cross the face and disappear almost immediately. Microexpressions are often described in popular culture as a perfect way to detect lies. In reality, they are not reliable proof that someone is being dishonest. A brief expression may show that a person feels something, but it does not explain why. A person may look afraid because they are lying, But they may also be afraid of being misunderstood, judged, or accused unfairly. The body gives clues, not complete answers. This is an important and calming truth. You do not need to analyze every movement around you. You do not need to search every face for hidden meaning. Human behavior becomes more accurate when interpreted gently and in context. One signal is rarely enough. Patterns matter more. If someone repeatedly turns away, shortens their answers, and speaks with an unusually tense voice, there may be discomfort. But even then, curiosity is usually more useful than certainty. The subconscious makes fast guesses. The conscious mind can slow down and check them. This cooperation between fast and slow thinking is one of the most useful abilities we have. Automatic impressions can alert us to something important. Careful reasoning can then ask whether the impression is accurate. Perhaps you have experienced meeting someone who reminded you of another person. You may immediately trust or distrust them, even though they have done nothing to deserve that reaction. The subconscious has recognized a pattern. Maybe it is the voice, movement, expression, or even a scent. The present person becomes connected with an older memory. This can influence behavior without entering awareness. You may become warmer, more distant, more nervous, or more open. Only later might you realize that the person seemed familiar. The brain organizes life through association. It does not store each experience in isolation. New people, places, and events are linked with older ones. These links help us respond quickly, but they can also create mistaken impressions. A new situation may feel dangerous because it resembles an old one. A new person may feel safe because their manner resembles someone trusted. Recognizing this can create more freedom. A feeling can be respected without being treated as absolute truth. You can say, "My body is telling me to pay attention." Then you can gently ask why. Sometimes the answer is in the present moment. Sometimes it belongs to the past. Sometimes it is simply tiredness, hunger, overstimulation, or uncertainty. The subconscious mind is deeply influenced by physical condition. When you are exhausted, neutral events may feel more negative. When you are hungry, patience may become shorter. When you are rested, the same difficulty may seem easier. This is because emotion does not arise in a separate mental space. It is connected to the whole body. Sleep, nutrition, movement, breathing, hormones, and sensory surroundings all influence how the brain interprets experience. A crowded, noisy environment may increase alertness. Soft lighting and gentle sounds may reduce it. A slow exhale can send a small signal of safety. Relaxed muscles can provide the brain with evidence that immediate action is not required. The body can influence the mind just as the mind influences the body. This is why changing posture or breathing does not magically remove every difficult emotion, but it can gently shift the nervous system. Try noticing the end of each exhale. There may be a tiny pause before the next breath begins. That pause is quiet and effortless. When the exhale becomes slightly longer, the body may begin moving away from high alert. The heart may slow a little. Muscles may soften. Attention may become less narrow. No force is needed. The nervous system responds better to gentle signals than harsh commands. Telling yourself to relax immediately can create pressure. Allowing one part of the body to soften can be easier. Perhaps the jaw. Perhaps the hands. Perhaps the muscles around the eyes. Each small release sends information inward. The subconscious listens to the body's language. It notices that the room is quiet. It notices that breathing is steady. It notices that nothing is demanding movement. Little by little, the hidden systems of alertness may begin to rest. And this may be one of the most comforting facts about the body and subconscious mind. They are not separate beings fighting for control. They are parts of one living system, continuously sharing information. A thought can change the heartbeat. A breath can change attention. A memory can tighten the stomach. A warm voice can relax the shoulders. Every part influences another. So as you remain here, allow your body to say something simple to your mind. There is support beneath you. There is air moving gently through you. There is no need to understand every sensation tonight. You can listen without judging. You can notice without solving. And as the body grows quieter, the subconscious may receive the message it has been waiting for. For now, you are safe enough to rest. How hidden habits shape everyday life. As you settle a little more deeply into rest, think for a moment about how many things you did today without making a careful decision. Perhaps you reached for your phone soon after waking. Maybe you followed the same path through your home, prepared a familiar drink, checked the same app, sat in the same place, or repeated a small movement without noticing it. These actions may feel ordinary, but they reveal something remarkable about the human mind. A large part of everyday life is guided by habit. Habits are automatic patterns that allow the brain to save energy. Instead of treating every repeated action as a completely new problem, the mind learns a familiar sequence and begins to perform it with less conscious effort. This is useful because conscious attention is limited. You can focus carefully on only a small amount of information at one time. If you had to think deeply about every step, every movement, every word, and every object around you, even a simple morning would feel exhausting. So the brain automates what it can. At first, a new action requires attention. Imagine learning to drive, cook a complicated meal, use unfamiliar software, or play a musical instrument. Every step may feel slow and uncertain. With repetition, the sequence becomes smoother. The conscious mind gradually gives less attention to each detail, while deeper systems begin to manage the pattern automatically. What once felt difficult may later feel natural. This is one reason habits can be comforting. Familiar routines reduce uncertainty. They create predictable moments in a world that is often changing. The brain knows what comes next, and this can lower the effort required to move through the day. A morning routine can gently prepare the mind for activity. An evening routine can signal that rest is approaching. Even small rituals can become powerful because the subconscious learns through repetition. A certain lamp, song, cup, chair, scent, or time of day may begin to carry emotional meaning. The object itself is not causing the entire response. Instead, the brain has connected it with what usually happens next. This process is called association. Imagine that every night you dim the lights, prepare a warm drink, and listen to a calm voice before sleep. At first, these are simply separate actions. After many repetitions, the brain begins linking them. The softer light predicts quiet. The warm drink predicts slowing down. The familiar voice predicts safety and sleep. Eventually, the beginning of the routine may produce relaxation before you consciously decide to relax. The subconscious recognizes the pattern. Habits are often described as a cycle involving a cue, a routine, and a result. The cue begins the behavior. It may be a time, place, emotion, person, sound, or situation. The routine is the action itself. The result is what the brain receives from that action. The result may be pleasure, relief, comfort, stimulation, or simply the satisfaction of completing something familiar. For example, boredom may become a cue to check a phone. The routine is opening an app. The result is novelty and temporary stimulation. Stress may become a cue to eat something sweet. The routine is eating. The result is a brief feeling of comfort. Finishing dinner may become a cue to walk outside. The routine is walking. The result may be movement, fresh air, and calm. The brain is not judging these patterns as good or bad. It is noticing what follows what. When an action repeatedly produces some kind of reward, the brain becomes more likely to repeat it in a similar situation. Over time, the cue may create an urge before the action begins. This can make a habit feel as though it appears on its own. You may suddenly find yourself holding the phone, opening the cupboard, or walking toward a familiar place before fully realizing what you intended to do. The action has begun beneath conscious awareness. This is not evidence that you have no control. It simply means the sequence has become efficient. The subconscious prefers efficiency because efficiency saves energy. Once a pattern is well learned, the brain does not need to rebuild it from the beginning each time. It can use the existing pathway. You might imagine a habit as a trail through tall grass. The first time you walk through, the path is difficult to see. The grass pushes back, and each step requires effort. If you walk the same route every day, the trail becomes clearer. Eventually, following it is easy. Creating a new habit is like beginning another trail. At first, the old path remains more obvious. The mind naturally returns to what is familiar, especially when you are tired, stressed, distracted, or emotionally overwhelmed. This is why changing a habit can be difficult even when you sincerely want to change it. The conscious mind may choose a new direction. The subconscious still remembers the old road. People sometimes respond to this difficulty with self-criticism. They call themselves lazy, weak, or undisciplined. But harsh judgment often adds stress, and stress can make automatic habits even stronger. Under pressure, the brain tends to choose familiar patterns because they require less effort. A gentler approach is often more effective. Instead of asking, "Why can't I control myself?" it may help to ask, "What is the cue? What does this behavior provide? What small change would make another response easier?" Understanding the pattern removes some of its mystery. Suppose a person wants to stop checking messages repeatedly before sleep. Simply deciding not to do it may work for a short time. But the phone is nearby, the room is quiet, and the brain expects a small reward from new information. The cue and reward are still present. Changing the environment may help more than repeating a promise. Placing the phone farther away, using a separate alarm clock, or replacing the habit with a calming audio routine changes the sequence itself. The new behavior does not rely only on willpower. It becomes easier because the surroundings support it. This reveals a quiet truth about the subconscious. The environment often influences behavior more than we realize. Objects that are visible become mental suggestions. Places carry associations. The people around us shape what feels normal. A bowl of fruit in clear view may encourage one choice. A book on a pillow may encourage another. Shoes beside the door may make an evening walk slightly more likely. These changes seem small, but habits are often built from small moments. The subconscious responds to what is easy, available, repeated, and rewarding. This is why beginning with a very small action can be so powerful. A person who wants to read more may begin with 1 page. Someone who wants to meditate may begin with 1 slow minute. A person who wants to become more organized may put away 1 object each evening. The action may appear almost too small to matter. But the first goal is not always a dramatic result. The first goal may be teaching the brain a new sequence. When the cue appears, the action follows. Repeated often enough, even a small action can become part of identity. A person no longer thinks only, "I am trying to read." They begin to think, "I am someone who reads." This change in self-perception can strengthen the habit. The subconscious listens not only to repeated actions but also to repeated stories about who we are. If someone often says, "I am terrible at learning, I never finish anything," or "I always fail," these statements may begin to influence expectation and attention. The brain may notice evidence that supports the story and ignore evidence that does not. This is not because words magically control reality. It is because expectations guide perception. If you believe you are bad at something, you may approach it with tension. You may give up sooner, notice mistakes more strongly, and remember failure more clearly. If you adopt a more flexible story, such as "I am learning slowly," the brain receives a different message. The difficulty still exists, but the meaning changes. Healthy subconscious change is usually not created by repeating unrealistic statements that feel completely false. The mind may resist them. A more believable phrase can be more useful. Instead of saying, "I am never afraid," you might say, "I am learning how to feel safer." Instead of saying, "I am perfectly confident," you might say, "I can take one calm step." The subconscious learns from evidence. Each completed step becomes evidence. Each repetition becomes a quiet lesson. Habits can also be emotional. A person may automatically apologize, avoid conflict, expect rejection, hide disappointment, or become tense when receiving criticism. These patterns may have developed over many years. At some point, they may have served a purpose. Avoiding attention may once have reduced conflict. Pleasing others may once have created safety. Staying constantly alert may once have helped someone feel prepared. The subconscious often preserves strategies that were useful in the past. But an old strategy may continue even when circumstances have changed. This is why emotional habits can feel deeply rooted. They are not only thoughts. They are learned relationships between situations, feelings, bodily responses, and actions. Changing them often requires patience and repeated experiences of a new outcome. A person may need to learn that disagreement does not always lead to rejection. They may need to experience that rest does not always lead to failure. They may need to discover that setting a boundary can be safe. The subconscious updates through experience more strongly than through explanation alone. You can tell the nervous system that a situation is safe, but it may need to experience safety many times before the reaction softens. This learning process can be slow, yet slowness does not mean failure. The brain is cautious because its main purpose is not to make life perfectly comfortable. Its purpose is to predict, protect, and preserve. It prefers a familiar discomfort to an unfamiliar possibility because the familiar can be predicted. But with repetition, the unfamiliar can become familiar too. A new routine can become natural. A calmer response can become easier. A kinder inner voice can become more automatic. The path changes because you continue walking it. And perhaps tonight, you do not need to change anything at all. You can simply notice the habits that are already guiding you toward rest. The way you settle your body. The way your breathing slows when you hear a calm rhythm. The way your thoughts become less urgent as the night grows quieter. These are patterns too. Each peaceful evening teaches the subconscious that it is possible to release the day. Each slow breath becomes a small signal. Each moment of stillness becomes evidence that nothing needs to be solved right now. The mind learns from repetition, and tonight it is learning rest. So allow the familiar path towards sleep to open gently before you. There is no need to force it. Your body has followed this path many times. Your breathing knows the way. Your subconscious knows how to loosen its hold on the waking world. And little by little, without effort, the habit of sleep can carry you into silence. The hidden science of stress and calm. As you rest here, your body is quietly asking one simple question. Am I safe right now? It asks this question many times each day, often without your conscious awareness. A sudden sound, an unfamiliar face, a difficult memory, a crowded room, or even a message on a screen can cause the nervous system to become more alert. This reaction is called the stress response. Stress is not always harmful. In small amounts, it can help you focus, react quickly, and prepare for a challenge. Before an important conversation, an exam, or a difficult task, the body may release chemical signals that increase energy and sharpen attention. Your heartbeat may become faster. Your breathing may change. Your muscles may tighten. Your senses may become more sensitive. The subconscious mind prepares the body before the conscious mind has decided what to do. This response developed because quick action could once mean survival. If an early human heard movement in the grass, there was little time for long analysis. The nervous system had to prepare immediately. The sound might have been only the wind, but it might also have been danger. Reacting quickly was often safer than waiting for certainty. The modern brain still carries this ancient system. Yet today, the threats we face are often very different. A deadline, unpaid bill, argument, social judgment, or constant stream of notifications cannot usually be escaped by running or fighting. Still, the body may respond as though physical action is required. This creates a strange situation. The muscles prepare to move, but you remain sitting. The heart speeds up, but there is nowhere to run. The mind becomes alert, but the problem may continue for days or weeks. When this happens repeatedly, stress may become a background state rather than a brief response. The subconscious can begin expecting difficulty even during quiet moments. You may notice this when everything around you appears calm, yet the body still feels restless. The jaw may remain tight. The shoulders may stay lifted. The breath may be shallow. Thoughts may continue searching for the next problem. The conscious mind may say, "Nothing is wrong right now," but the nervous system may still be remembering earlier pressure. This is because the stress response does not always end the moment a difficult event is over. The body may need clear signals that the danger has passed. In nature, an animal that escapes a threat often returns to rest once safety is restored. Human beings, however, can continue the stress response through memory and imagination. We can replay the past. We can predict the future. We can create an entire stressful situation inside the mind while sitting in a silent room. The brain responds not only to what is happening, but also to what it believes may happen. This is one of the great powers of the subconscious. It can prepare for events that have not yet occurred. But it is also one reason worry can feel physically real. Imagine thinking about a difficult conversation scheduled for tomorrow. No one is speaking to you yet. The room is safe. Still, your heart may beat faster because the brain is simulating the event. The body is reacting to a prediction. The subconscious often treats vivid imagination as meaningful information. Fortunately, the same mechanism can also support calm. A peaceful memory, gentle voice, slow breathing pattern, or imagined safe place may influence the nervous system. The effect is not always immediate, and imagination cannot remove every source of stress, but it can send the body a different kind of message. The message is simple. You do not need to act right now. One important part of the calming system is the parasympathetic nervous system. It helps support rest, digestion, recovery, and energy conservation. It works alongside the sympathetic nervous system, which helps prepare the body for action. These systems are not enemies. They are partners. One helps you respond. The other helps you recover. A healthy nervous system moves between alertness and rest depending on what the moment requires. Problems arise when the body remains in high alert for too long or has difficulty returning to calm. This is why recovery is just as important as productivity. The brain and body need periods in which nothing urgent is expected. During these quieter times, muscles can release tension, digestion can proceed more comfortably, and attention can widen. Calm does not mean the complete absence of activity. It means the nervous system no longer believes immediate defense is necessary. Breathing can help communicate this. When people are stressed, breathing often becomes faster and shallower. This supports quick action. But when the exhale becomes slower and slightly longer, the body may receive information associated with reduced urgency. The breath is unusual because it is both automatic and partly voluntary. You continue breathing without thinking. Yet you can also influence the rhythm. This makes breathing a bridge between conscious intention and subconscious regulation. You cannot simply order your heart to slow down, but you can soften your breath, and the heartbeat may gradually respond. You cannot command every muscle to relax at once, but you can release the hands, jaw, or shoulders, and the body may begin to follow. The subconscious notices physical evidence. If the breath is steady, the surroundings are quiet, and the muscles are supported, the brain may slowly revise its prediction. Perhaps there is no immediate threat. Perhaps rest is allowed. This does not mean that calm breathing should be treated as a cure for every form of stress. Difficult circumstances may require practical changes, support, medical care, or professional help. But small calming signals can still be valuable. They create brief spaces in which the nervous system can recover. Stress also changes attention. When the brain senses danger, it tends to narrow focus. This is useful when one urgent problem matters more than everything else. Attention becomes drawn toward possible threats, mistakes, and signs of uncertainty. During chronic stress, this pattern may continue even when it is no longer helpful. The mind may scan conversations for criticism. It may search the future for problems. It may notice what went wrong more easily than what went well. This is not necessarily pessimism. It may be the subconscious trying to keep you prepared. The stressed brain often believes that constant vigilance will prevent surprise. Yet constant vigilance is exhausting. Attention needs moments when it can become wide and gentle again. You can sometimes feel this shift when looking at the sky, watching slow water, listening to rain, or walking through a quiet natural place. The mind is no longer fixed on one urgent object. Awareness expands. Sounds, colors, distance, and movement are noticed without the need to control them. Nature often contains patterns that attract attention softly rather than demanding it. Clouds move gradually. Leaves repeat complex shapes. Water changes without becoming chaotic. These environments may give the directed attention system a chance to rest. The subconscious also responds to predictability. Uncertainty is one of the strongest sources of stress because the brain cannot prepare for what it cannot predict. When the outcome is unclear, the mind may repeatedly examine possibilities. This is why waiting can feel more stressful than receiving a definite answer. The subconscious dislikes unfinished patterns. A conversation without resolution, an unanswered message, or a task left incomplete may continue returning to awareness. The brain is trying to close the loop. Sometimes writing a concern down can help. The problem is not solved, but the mind receives evidence that it has been recorded and does not need to be repeated constantly. A simple plan can have a similar effect. The nervous system may relax slightly when it knows there is a next step. Not a perfect solution, just a next step. The subconscious is comforted by structure. This is one reason routines become especially helpful during stressful periods. Waking at a familiar time, eating regularly, walking, resting, and preparing for sleep in a consistent way can create islands of predictability. The larger world may feel uncertain, but some parts of the day remain known. The body begins to recognize them. Morning means light. Evening means slowing down. This chair means reading. This music means rest. These repeated signals help the nervous system understand what comes next. Sleep is one of the most important periods of recovery. During sleep, the brain continues processing emotion, memory, and information. A well-rested brain often handles stress differently from an exhausted one. When sleep is limited, emotional reactions may become stronger. Attention may become less flexible. Small difficulties may feel larger. This is not a personal weakness. It is biology. A tired nervous system has fewer resources for careful regulation. This is why rest can change perspective. A problem that feels impossible late at night may appear more manageable in the morning. The situation may not have changed, but the brain has. Learning also becomes more difficult under intense stress. A small amount of alertness can improve concentration, but too much can interfere with memory and flexible thinking. When the brain believes it is in danger, survival becomes more important than curiosity. The mind may become rigid. It may struggle to absorb new information. This helps explain why people sometimes forget what they know during a stressful test or presentation. The knowledge may still be present, but access becomes more difficult. Later, when calm returns, the answer suddenly reappears. The memory was not gone. The nervous system was simply prioritizing something else. A calm learning environment can therefore be powerful. Gentle repetition, breaks, sleep, and emotional safety help information become more stable. The subconscious learns best when attention is present but not overwhelmed. This is true not only for facts, but also for emotional learning. The nervous system can learn that a situation is safe when it experiences that safety repeatedly. Each calm experience becomes a small correction to an older expectation. The body predicted danger, but danger did not come. The brain records the difference. Over time, the prediction may soften. This process is not always fast. The subconscious is cautious with patterns related to fear because those patterns were designed to protect you. It may require many safe experiences before the body fully trusts the change. But every experience matters. Every gentle breath. Every moment of support. Every time you respond to yourself with patience instead of criticism. Self-criticism often feels like motivation, but the nervous system may experience it as another threat. Harsh inner language can increase tension and make the mind more defensive. A kinder inner voice does not mean ignoring mistakes. It means creating enough safety to learn from them. The subconscious becomes more flexible when it is not constantly defending itself. Tonight, there is nothing you need to perform. No one is waiting for an answer. No problem needs to be completed in this exact moment. The body beneath you is supported. The air continues to move naturally. The sounds around you can simply be sounds. Perhaps your nervous system is still carrying some of the day. That is all right. You do not need to force it into perfect calm. You can allow relaxation to arrive slowly. A little softness in the forehead. A little heaviness in the arms. A slightly quieter breath. The subconscious understands gradual change. It has learned through repetition all your life, and it can learn this moment too. Right now, nothing is chasing you. Nothing requires immediate action. The day can remain unfinished until tomorrow. And as your breathing continues, the hidden systems of the mind may begin to release their watch. Not all at once. Just enough. Enough to loosen the muscles. Enough to quiet the search for danger. Enough to let the body remember one of its oldest and most natural abilities: how to rest. The hidden memory that never fully sleeps. As you continue resting, let your mind drift toward a simple and familiar mystery. Have you ever heard an old song and suddenly remembered a place you had not thought about for years? Perhaps the memory arrived with unusual clarity. For a moment, you could almost feel the air of that place, see the light in the room, or remember the person who once stood beside you. You were not searching for the memory. It simply appeared. This is one of the most fascinating abilities of the subconscious mind. It stores enormous amounts of information outside the small area of awareness we use from moment to moment. At any given time, you can consciously hold only a limited number of thoughts. You may notice these words, the position of your body, and perhaps one or two quiet ideas passing through your mind. Yet beneath that awareness is a vast network of experiences, faces, voices, movements, emotions, scents, places, skills, fragments of conversations. The mind does not keep all of this information in one perfect, organized archive. Human memory is more fluid than that. It is distributed across many systems in the brain, each helping to preserve different parts of experience. Some memories can be consciously described. You may remember your first day at school, a recent meal, or the name of a city you once visited. These are often called explicit memories because they can be deliberately brought into awareness. Other memories influence you without becoming a clear story. You know how to walk, hold a spoon, recognize a familiar face, or follow the rhythm of a song. You may perform these actions without remembering when or how you first learned them. These are forms of implicit memory. Implicit memory is one of the quiet foundations of daily life. It allows learned skills and emotional associations to guide behavior automatically. Imagine trying to explain every movement required to tie a shoelace. You might describe crossing the laces, forming a loop, wrapping one lace around another, and pulling it through. But while actually tying the lace, you probably do not speak these instructions inside your head. Your hands remember. Of course, the hands themselves do not store the memory. The pattern is held in networks of the brain that coordinate movement. But the experience feels as though the body knows what to do. This is sometimes called muscle memory. The phrase is not scientifically exact, yet it describes something real. Repeated actions become easier because the nervous system learns the sequence. A musician's fingers find familiar notes. A typist reaches for letters without looking. An experienced driver responds to the road while thinking about something else. The conscious mind gives general direction, while automatic memory manages many details. Emotional memory can work in a similar way. A place may make you feel peaceful even when you cannot explain why. A certain tone of voice may create tension. The smell of a particular food may bring comfort, sadness, or longing. These reactions may be connected to experiences that are only partly remembered. The brain is excellent at forming associations. If two things repeatedly occur together, one may eventually bring back the feeling of the other. A song played during a joyful summer may later awaken happiness. A sound heard during a frightening event may later produce alertness. A familiar perfume may bring back the emotional presence of someone who is no longer nearby. The conscious mind may not immediately understand the reaction, but the subconscious recognizes the pattern. Smell is especially powerful in memory. Unlike many sensory signals, information related to scent has close connections with brain regions involved in emotion and memory. This may help explain why a single fragrance can produce such a vivid and immediate response. The smell of rain on dry ground may return you to childhood. Fresh bread may recall a kitchen. A certain soap may bring back a grandparent's home. The memory may appear before the words to describe it. This shows that remembering is not always an intellectual act. It can be physical and emotional. A memory may change breathing, posture, heartbeat, and mood before a clear image appears. The subconscious can hold the emotional shape of an experience even when many details have faded. Yet memory is not a perfect recording. This is important to understand. The brain does not store life like a camera storing a video. Instead, it preserves pieces of information and reconstructs them when needed. Each time you remember something, the mind gathers details, emotions, knowledge, and present-day expectations. It builds the memory again. Usually, this process works well enough to guide us. but it can also create small changes. A detail may be added. A sequence may be rearranged. Something learned later may become mixed with what was originally experienced. This does not mean that memory is useless or that every memory is false. It means memory is a living process rather than a fixed object. The mind remembers meaning more easily than perfect detail. You may forget the exact words of a conversation, but remember how it made you feel. You may forget what someone was wearing, but remember whether you felt safe around them. The subconscious often keeps what seemed important at the time. Emotion strongly affects what is remembered. When an event is surprising, frightening, joyful, or deeply meaningful, the brain may give it greater priority. Stress hormones and attention can strengthen certain parts of the experience. This is why emotionally intense moments sometimes remain vivid for many years. But intensity does not guarantee complete accuracy. A person may remember the central event clearly while surrounding details become uncertain. The mind focuses on what appears most important and may store less information about everything else. Attention acts like a gate. You cannot remember every detail in a room because you never fully notice every detail in the first place. The subconscious processes more than conscious awareness can hold, but even subconscious processing has limits. Your brain selects. It predicts. It compresses. It saves patterns rather than perfect copies. This is one reason familiar places can feel strange after many years. The real place has changed, but so has the memory. The image carried inside the mind may contain a mixture of several moments. A room may seem smaller than you remembered. A road may feel shorter. A tree may no longer stand where the mind expected it. The memory was shaped by the person you were when you experienced it. Childhood places often seemed larger because your body was smaller and your understanding of distance was different. Memory preserves perspective, not only facts. The subconscious also uses memory to predict the future. Every time you enter a familiar situation, the brain compares it with past experience. It asks, often silently, what usually happens here? When you reach for a door, you expect it to open in a certain direction. When someone smiles, you expect a friendly response. When dark clouds gather, you may expect rain. These predictions make perception faster. The brain does not wait for every piece of information. It uses memory to fill in what is likely. Most of the time, this is helpful. Sometimes, however, old expectations are applied to new situations. A person who was often criticized may expect criticism even from someone who means no harm. Someone who experienced repeated disappointment may hesitate to trust good news. The subconscious is not trying to create unhappiness. It is using memory to prevent surprise. It believes the past may repeat itself. Changing these expectations usually requires new experiences. The conscious mind may understand that the present is different, but the deeper prediction system learns through repetition. One safe conversation may help. Many safe conversations may create a new pattern. One success may feel accidental. Repeated success may begin to change identity. The subconscious asks for evidence, and evidence grows through experience. Memory is also strengthened during sleep. While you rest, the brain continues processing information gathered during the day. Some patterns are reinforced, while others become weaker. New learning is connected with older knowledge. This is one reason sleep can improve memory. A student may understand material better after resting. A musician may perform a practice sequence more smoothly the next day. A difficult problem may seem clearer in the morning. The brain was not inactive during the night. It was organizing. Different stages of sleep appear to support different aspects of memory. Deep sleep is strongly associated with the stabilization of certain facts and experiences, while REM sleep may help process emotional material and connect distant ideas. Sleep allows the brain to work without the constant demands of the outside world. There are fewer new conversations, fewer decisions, and fewer visual scenes to interpret. The mind can turn inward. You may imagine the sleeping brain as a quiet city after midnight. The streets are not empty. Maintenance continues. Information is moved. Connections are strengthened. Unnecessary activity is reduced. By morning, the city is prepared to begin again. Forgetting is also part of this process. Although forgetting can be frustrating, it is often useful. A brain that remembered every unimportant detail with equal strength would become overwhelmed. Forgetting helps reduce noise. It allows important patterns to stand out. The exact number of steps you took yesterday may disappear, while the memory of where you went remains. The precise shape of every cloud fades, while the feeling of a peaceful evening survives. The mind protects meaning by allowing some detail to dissolve. Sometimes a forgotten word or name returns when you stop trying to remember it. You may search for it intensely and find nothing. Then, while washing dishes or preparing for sleep, it suddenly appears. This may happen because effort creates too narrow a search. When attention relaxes, the brain can explore wider associations. A hidden connection reaches awareness, and the answer rises quietly. This is another form of subconscious problem solving. The mind continues working after conscious attention has moved away. It does not always produce an answer, but rest can make new connections possible. Perhaps this is why so many ideas appear in the shower, on a walk, or just before sleep. The conscious mind is no longer forcing the problem. The hidden mind has space to wander. Tonight, your memory may also be sorting the small pieces of your day. A face you saw briefly, a sentence that mattered, a feeling you did not fully examine, a task you learned, a moment of kindness. Not all of it will become a dream. Not all of it will be remembered tomorrow. But the mind will continue its quiet selection. It will keep what seems useful. It will connect new experience with old understanding. And it will allow some things to gently fade. You do not need to supervise this process. You do not need to organize every thought before sleeping. Your brain has been practicing this work throughout your entire life. So allow the memories of today to settle naturally. They do not need to remain in perfect order. Some can soften. Some can drift away. Some may return when they are needed. And beneath your conscious awareness, the hidden library of the mind will remain quietly open, preserving not every moment, but enough of your story to help you recognize the world, understand yourself, and wake tomorrow carrying a little more knowledge than you had before. Intuition and the brain's quiet predictions. As you continue to relax, think about a moment when you seemed to know something before you could explain it. Perhaps you met someone and immediately felt comfortable. Maybe you sensed that a conversation was about to change. You might have chosen one path instead of another, then wondered why the decision felt so natural. People often call this intuition. Intuition can feel mysterious because it arrives without a visible chain of reasoning. There may be no list of facts, no careful calculation, and no clear inner explanation. There is simply a feeling, a quiet sense that something fits, or that something does not. From a scientific point of view, intuition is often understood as rapid, non-conscious processing. The brain notices patterns, compares the present with past experience, and produces a conclusion before the conscious mind can describe how it was reached. The result appears first. The reasoning remains hidden. Imagine an experienced nurse walking into a patient's room and immediately sensing that something is wrong. At first, the nurse may not be able to identify one obvious sign. The patient may be speaking normally, and the medical equipment may not yet show a dramatic change. But the nurse's brain has seen thousands of patients. It may notice a slightly unusual skin tone, breathing rhythm, facial expression, or movement. Each detail alone may seem unimportant. Together, they form a familiar pattern. The feeling of concern is not magic. It is compressed experience. Experts often develop strong intuition because they have been exposed to many examples in a particular field. A skilled mechanic may recognize a problem from a faint sound. A musician may sense that one note is slightly wrong. A teacher may notice that a student is confused before the student asks for help. Years of experience create a large internal library. The subconscious searches that library quickly. This kind of intuition can be remarkably accurate when the environment contains reliable patterns and when a person has received clear feedback over time. But intuition is not always trustworthy. The same brain that recognizes real patterns can also create patterns where none exist. It can confuse familiarity with truth, fear with danger, confidence with accuracy, and strong emotion with reliable evidence. A feeling may be meaningful, but it is not automatically correct. This is one of the most important facts about the subconscious mind. It is fast, efficient, and protective, but it is not perfectly objective. The hidden mind is shaped by everything it has learned. Past experiences influence what feels normal. Repeated messages influence what feels believable. Old fears influence what feels dangerous. Cultural expectations influence what feels appropriate. Because much of this learning happens gradually, we may not realize how strongly it affects our decisions. For example, a person may trust an idea more simply because they have heard it many times. Repetition creates familiarity, and familiarity can be mistaken for truth. The brain often prefers what it recognizes. A familiar song feels easier to enjoy. A familiar face feels safer. A familiar explanation may seem more convincing, even when a new explanation is more accurate. This tendency is useful in many situations. Familiarity usually means that something has been encountered before and survived. But it can also create bias. The subconscious may favor information that supports existing beliefs and pay less attention to information that challenges them. This is sometimes called confirmation bias. Suppose someone believes they are unlucky. They may remember every disappointment clearly while paying less attention to ordinary successes. Over time, the remembered pattern becomes stronger. The belief guides attention. Attention selects evidence. The selected evidence strengthens the belief. This can create a quiet loop. The same process may shape beliefs about other people. A first impression can influence how later behavior is interpreted. Once the subconscious has created a story, it may search for details that fit that story. A quiet person may be seen as unfriendly if that is what someone expects. The same quietness may be seen as thoughtful by someone with a different expectation. The behavior has not changed. The interpretation has. The subconscious does not simply receive reality. It predicts reality. Modern neuroscience often describes the brain as a prediction-making system. Rather than waiting passively for sensory information, the brain constantly guesses what it is about to see, hear, and feel. Then it compares the prediction with incoming signals. Most of the time, this process is so smooth that you never notice it. When you hear the beginning of a familiar sentence, your brain may anticipate the final word. When you reach for a cup, your hand prepares for its expected weight. When you walk downstairs, your body predicts the distance of the next step. Prediction makes movement and perception efficient. Without it, every moment would feel completely unfamiliar. The brain would need to analyze every object from the beginning. Instead, the subconscious prepares an expectation and updates it when necessary. This is why unexpected events attract attention so strongly. If a familiar door suddenly becomes difficult to open, you notice immediately. If a song changes one well-known note, the difference feels obvious. If someone responds in an unusual tone, the mind becomes alert. The prediction did not match reality. The brain calls this a prediction error. Prediction errors help us learn. When something happens differently from what was expected, the brain has a reason to update its model of the world. A child expects a large object to be heavy but discovers that it is hollow and light. The surprise becomes a lesson. A person expects rejection but receives kindness. With enough repeated experiences, the old expectation may begin to change. The subconscious is always comparing expectation with outcome. This process also helps explain why anxiety can feel so convincing. An anxious brain may predict danger more often. Neutral expressions may seem negative. Uncertain situations may feel threatening. Ordinary bodily sensations may be interpreted as signs that something is wrong. The prediction changes the experience. If the brain expects danger, attention searches for danger. Small signals become more important. The body becomes more alert. That alertness then feels like evidence that the threat must be real. Again, a loop can form. This does not mean the person is imagining everything or choosing to feel anxious. The nervous system is making protective predictions based on previous learning. It is trying to prevent harm. The problem is that the prediction may be too sensitive. A smoke detector that reacts to every piece of toast is not broken in the sense that it cannot detect smoke. It is simply responding too easily. The subconscious can behave in a similar way. It may prefer a false alarm to a missed danger. Calming the system often requires more than saying, "There is nothing to worry about." The conscious mind may understand the words, while the body continues expecting a threat. The deeper prediction changes through experience. A feared event is approached safely. A difficult sensation passes. An uncertain moment ends without disaster. Each experience becomes new evidence. Little by little, the subconscious can update. Intuition can also arise from signals inside the body. Before a conscious decision, the nervous system may produce subtle changes in heartbeat, muscle tension, or stomach sensation. The brain combines these internal signals with memories and information from the environment. The result may be experienced as a gut feeling. In some situations, this signal can be useful. A body that has learned a real pattern may react before conscious reasoning catches up. But physical sensations can have many causes. Tiredness, hunger, stress, illness, caffeine, excitement, and old memories can all influence how a situation feels. A strong sensation may deserve attention. It may also deserve investigation. The wisest approach is often neither to ignore intuition nor obey it blindly. You can treat it as information. A quiet message saying, "Look more closely." If a feeling says that someone is unsafe, you can create distance while gathering more evidence. If an idea feels promising, you can explore it without assuming it must succeed. Intuition can begin the question. Reasoning can help complete the answer. The conscious and subconscious minds work best as partners. Fast thinking notices patterns and produces immediate impressions. Slow thinking checks facts, compares possibilities, and corrects mistakes. Neither system is enough on its own. Careful analysis without intuition can become slow and exhausting. Intuition without reflection can become impulsive and biased. Together, they create flexibility. This partnership appears in creativity too. A writer may suddenly discover the ending of a story. A scientist may wake with a new idea. A person solving a problem may experience an answer while walking, showering, or preparing for sleep. The solution feels sudden, but the subconscious may have been working quietly for hours or days. It was combining fragments, testing associations. Discarding weak connections. When one pattern became strong enough, it entered awareness. This is sometimes called insight. Insight often appears during relaxed attention rather than intense effort. When the conscious mind stops forcing a solution, wider networks may communicate more freely. This does not mean that effort is useless. The subconscious needs material to work with. A musician must first learn sounds. A scientist must study the problem. A writer must gather language, experience, and ideas. Then rest allows the information to reorganize. Focus fills the mind. Relaxation lets it combine. This may be one reason sleep is so helpful after learning. The brain continues processing patterns without the pressure of immediate performance. By morning, a difficult idea may feel simpler. The answer did not arrive from nowhere. It grew in silence. Tonight, your own subconscious may be working through questions you carried during the day. You do not need to force conclusions before sleeping. Some problems benefit from distance. Some decisions become clearer after the emotional intensity has softened. Some answers need time to form. You can allow the mind to keep only the useful pieces. A fact, a feeling, a small inconsistency, a possibility not yet explored. The hidden mind can turn them gently, like stones being smoothed by water. Perhaps no answer will come tonight. That is all right. Rest itself is valuable. And if an idea appears tomorrow, you may recognize it not as a magical message, but as the result of a remarkable brain quietly comparing, predicting, remembering, and learning. For now, there is no need to decide. Let uncertainty remain unfinished. Let the conscious mind become quiet. Beneath it, the deeper mind can continue its gentle work without pressure. And as sleep comes closer, you may trust one simple truth. Not every answer needs to be chased. Some answers arrive more easily when the mind is finally allowed to rest. How the subconscious learns while you focus. As you continue to rest, imagine the mind as a quiet room filled with many small lights. One light is shining on these words. Another may be noticing the weight of your body. Somewhere in the background, other lights are dimly following sounds, memories, sensations, and unfinished thoughts. This is attention. Attention feels simple, but it is one of the most important forces shaping the subconscious mind. What you repeatedly notice becomes easier for the brain to recognize, remember, and respond to in the future. The mind is always learning what deserves importance. It learns from repetition. It learns from emotion. And it learns from where attention goes. At every moment, the senses provide far more information than conscious awareness can hold. Light reaches the eyes. Sounds enter the ears. The skin registers pressure and temperature. The body sends signals about hunger, posture, heartbeat, and breathing. If all of this entered awareness with equal strength, the world would feel overwhelming. So the brain filters. It decides which signals should become clear and which can remain in the background. Most of this filtering happens automatically. While listening to a voice, you may stop noticing the quiet hum of a machine nearby. While reading, you may become unaware of the feeling of your clothing. While looking for a friend in a crowd, familiar faces become more noticeable than everything else. The information is still present. Attention simply changes its priority. This filtering system helps explain an interesting experience called the cocktail party effect. Imagine standing in a room filled with conversations. You focus on one person's voice while many others become a soft background of sound. Then someone across the room says your name. Suddenly, your attention shifts. You were not consciously listening to that conversation, yet some part of the brain continued monitoring it. Your name carried personal importance, so it was allowed into awareness. The subconscious had been listening in the background. This does not mean the brain understands every ignored conversation perfectly. It means unattended information can still be processed enough for meaningful details to attract attention. The mind is never completely closed to its surroundings. Even during sleep, certain sounds may be treated differently from others. A parent may sleep through traffic but wake quickly when a child calls. A familiar alarm may enter awareness while quieter, less important sounds remain ignored. The brain learns what matters. Attention also influences memory. When you focus on something, the brain is more likely to encode it strongly. If attention is divided, the experience may leave only a weak trace. This is why you can place an object somewhere while thinking about something else and later have no memory of where you left it. The eyes saw the movement. The hands completed the action. But attention was elsewhere. Without attention, the event was not stored clearly enough for easy conscious recall. This is not always forgetfulness. Sometimes the memory was never fully formed. The subconscious can still guide you through familiar actions while the conscious mind is occupied. You may lock a door, walk down a hallway, or place a cup in the sink automatically. Later, you wonder whether you did it. The action occurred, but conscious attention was too weak to create a vivid memory. Learning becomes stronger when attention is clear but not strained. A completely distracted mind absorbs little. An overwhelmed mind may also struggle. The best state for learning is often somewhere between boredom and panic, awake enough to notice, calm enough to remain flexible. This is one reason stress can both help and harm learning. A small amount of alertness may sharpen attention. It can signal that the information matters. But intense stress may narrow attention too much. The learner becomes focused on avoiding failure rather than understanding the material. The subconscious begins associating the subject with tension. Later, simply seeing the material may recreate some of that stress. This can happen with mathematics, public speaking, driving, or any skill learned in an uncomfortable environment. A person may believe, "I am simply bad at this." But the difficulty may partly come from an automatic emotional association. The brain learned not only the task, it also learned the feelings surrounding the task. Fortunately, new emotional associations can form. If learning becomes slower, safer, and more manageable, the nervous system may begin to update. The task is no longer paired only with fear or embarrassment. It may become associated with curiosity, small success, or calm concentration. Every gentle repetition matters. The subconscious learns through patterns, and learning itself is a pattern. Imagine trying to remember a list of unrelated words. Repeating the words may help for a short time, but they can disappear quickly. Now imagine connecting each word to a story, image, location, or emotion. The material becomes easier to remember because the brain prefers meaning over isolation. Memory works through association. New knowledge attaches to what is already known. This is why comparisons and examples can make complex ideas easier to understand. The mind does not need to build everything from nothing. It connects the new idea to an existing structure. A neuron does not store an entire memory by itself. Memories emerge from patterns of activity across networks of neurons. When parts of the pattern are activated, they can help reactivate the rest. A scent recalls a place. A place recalls a person. A person recalls a conversation. One fragment opens the door to many others. This network structure explains why learning several related ideas can be more effective than memorizing isolated facts. Each connection creates another possible path to the memory. The subconscious can reach it from different directions. Repetition strengthens these paths, but not all repetition is equally useful. Reading the same sentence many times may create familiarity. The words begin to look known, and the learner may feel confident. But familiarity is not always the same as understanding. A stronger method is to try to recall the idea without looking. This effort tells the brain that the information must be accessible, not merely recognizable. Each successful retrieval strengthens the path back to the memory. Even an unsuccessful attempt can be useful if the correct answer is then reviewed. The brain notices the gap between expectation and reality. That gap encourages learning. Mistakes, although uncomfortable, are valuable signals. They show where the brain's prediction was incomplete. A mistake is not evidence that learning has failed. It is part of how learning occurs. The subconscious constantly updates through prediction errors. It expects one result and receives another. The difference causes the internal model to change. This happens when learning a language. At first, unfamiliar sounds may be difficult to separate. With exposure, the brain begins detecting patterns. Frequently used words become easier to recognize. Grammar starts to feel natural before the learner can fully explain the rules. The subconscious absorbs regularities. A child learning a first language does not study formal grammar before speaking. The brain listens to thousands of examples and gradually predicts which sounds and structures belong together. Over time, a sentence can feel wrong even when the speaker cannot name the grammatical reason. The hidden mind has learned the pattern. Adults continue using this ability. When you spend time with a new subject, you begin developing a feeling for it. A photographer senses balanced composition. A cook notices when a texture is almost right. A writer hears when a sentence does not flow naturally. This feeling grows from repeated exposure combined with feedback. The subconscious is building a model. Focused practice can make this learning faster, but only when attention is directed toward the right details. Repeating a mistake without correction may strengthen the mistake. A musician who always plays one note incorrectly may automate the wrong movement. A speaker who repeats a mispronounced word may make it feel natural. Practice does not simply create perfection. Practice creates familiarity. This is why feedback matters. Feedback tells the brain whether its prediction matched the result. It provides information for adjustment. The best feedback is often clear, specific, and close to the action. If feedback arrives too late or feels like a personal attack, the learner may become defensive or confused. The subconscious may remember the emotion more strongly than the lesson. Gentle correction creates a different learning environment. It says, "This part can change." It does not say, "There is something wrong with you." The brain learns more easily when mistakes are treated as information rather than shame. Attention also changes the physical brain. Repeated mental activity strengthens some connections between neurons and weakens others. This ability to change is called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity continues throughout life. The adult brain is not fixed. It can learn new skills, create new associations, and reorganize its responses. Change may become slower in some areas with age, but it does not simply stop. This is a comforting truth. You are not permanently limited to the habits, beliefs, or abilities you developed earlier in life. The brain remains responsive to experience. Every repeated action leaves a small trace. Every focused attempt becomes part of a pathway. Every time you practice calm attention, the brain practices returning to calm attention. Of course, change usually requires time. The popular idea that a habit always forms in one exact number of days is too simple. Some habits become automatic quickly. Others may take months, depending on difficulty, frequency, context, and the person. The subconscious does not follow a single calendar. It follows repetition and consistency. A behavior performed every day in the same setting is easier to learn than one performed unpredictably. A simple action becomes automatic faster than a complicated one. Emotion also matters. Information connected with strong feeling is often remembered more easily. This is useful when the emotion supports curiosity and meaning. But overwhelming emotion can interfere with organized memory. A frightened brain may remember the feeling of an event while losing many surrounding details. A calm and interested brain can often take in a wider picture. This is why a gentle voice can help learning. Tone changes the body's state. A harsh, urgent tone may increase alertness. A slow and reassuring tone can help attention remain open without becoming defensive. The words matter, but the nervous system also listens to how they are delivered. Perhaps that is part of why listening to calm information before sleep can feel so pleasant. The mind remains lightly engaged while the body gradually becomes less active. Attention is present, but it is not being forced. Ideas move through awareness without demanding immediate action. Some may be remembered tomorrow. Others may fade. Even forgotten information can leave behind a sense of familiarity or understanding. Learning does not always appear as a clear fact you can repeat. Sometimes it changes what feels easy to recognize. Sometimes it changes the speed of a decision. Sometimes it becomes part of a skill that no longer requires explanation. The subconscious can learn patterns that the conscious mind cannot describe. This is called implicit learning. Imagine seeing many examples of a hidden rule without being told what the rule is. Over time, you may begin choosing correct examples more often, even though you cannot explain why. The brain has detected regularity beneath awareness. This ability helps people understand social behavior, language, music, movement, and many ordinary situations. You learn the rhythm of familiar people. You notice when a room feels unusually quiet. You sense when the timing of a conversation has changed. The subconscious measures patterns constantly. Focus determines which of these patterns become strong. What you repeatedly attend to can begin to shape the world you experience. A person who constantly searches for mistakes will become very skilled at finding mistakes. Someone who deliberately notices small signs of progress may gradually become better at detecting progress. This does not mean ignoring real problems or pretending everything is positive. It means attention is a form of training. The brain strengthens what it practices. If it practices worry, worry becomes easier. If it practices comparison, comparison becomes automatic. If it practices returning gently to the present, that return can also become more natural. Mindfulness practices are partly based on this idea. The goal is not to empty the mind or prevent every thought. The goal is to notice when attention has wandered and bring it back without harshness. The return is the practice. Each time attention comes back to the breath, a sound, or a bodily sensation, the brain rehearses a new response. Instead of following every thought automatically, the person learns to observe. A thought appears. Attention notices it. Then attention chooses whether to continue. This small space between thought and action can feel like freedom. The subconscious still produces habits, memories, worries, and impulses. But conscious awareness can become better at seeing them before they take control. Tonight, you may notice your own attention drifting. Perhaps you follow one sentence, then lose the next. Maybe an image appears. Maybe a memory begins and fades before it is complete. Nothing has gone wrong. This is what the mind does as sleep approaches. Attention becomes less narrow. The boundaries between thought, memory, and imagination soften. You do not need to hold every word. Your subconscious can listen without effort. And even if you remember very little tomorrow, the gentle rhythm of this moment may still be learned. The quiet voice, the supported body, the permission to stop performing. These experiences form associations too. They teach the nervous system that focus can be soft. That learning can happen without pressure. That attention can slowly loosen and become rest. So allow the light of awareness to grow dimmer now. It does not need to disappear suddenly. It can move gently from one thought to another, from sound to breath, from breath to stillness. The subconscious will continue receiving, sorting, and connecting, and the conscious mind can gradually release the need to follow. For now, there is nothing you must memorize, nothing you must understand perfectly. Simply listening is enough. Resting is enough. And while you drift closer to sleep, your remarkable brain will continue doing what it has always done, learning quietly from every peaceful moment. The subconscious influence behind everyday decisions. As you rest quietly, think about one small decision you made today. Perhaps you chose what to wear, what to eat, which message to answer first, or where to sit. It may have felt as though you calmly considered the possibilities and then selected the best one. Sometimes that is exactly what happens. But many decisions begin before conscious reasoning fully enters the picture. The subconscious mind is constantly evaluating the world. It notices what is familiar, what feels safe, what may bring pleasure, what requires effort, and what resembles something from the past. By the time a choice reaches awareness, hidden processes may already have influenced which option feels most attractive. This does not mean that free choice is an illusion or that people have no control over their actions. It means that conscious thought is only one part of decision-making. A decision often emerges from cooperation between emotion, memory, bodily state, habit, expectation, and reasoning. The final choice may feel simple. The process beneath it can be incredibly complex. Imagine standing in a grocery store and selecting one package from a shelf filled with similar products. You may believe that you chose it because of price or quality, but many other details may have influenced you. The color may have felt familiar. The package may have been placed at eye level. The name may have sounded trustworthy. Perhaps you saw it before in a home connected with comfort. None of these influences need to become conscious. The brain responds to patterns quickly. Familiarity is especially powerful. When something has been encountered many times, it often becomes easier to process. The brain recognizes it with less effort, and this ease can create a subtle feeling of safety or correctness. This is known as the familiarity effect. A song may become more enjoyable after several listens. A face may seem more trustworthy after repeated exposure. A phrase may feel more believable simply because it has been heard often. The subconscious sometimes confuses ease of recognition with truth. This is why repetition is so influential in advertising, politics, education, and social life. A message repeated many times begins to feel known. And what feels known may begin to feel normal. But normal does not always mean accurate, healthy, or fair. The conscious mind can examine familiar ideas more carefully, yet it often does not do so unless something causes doubt. The subconscious prefers efficient conclusions. Careful analysis requires energy. When a choice seems unimportant or familiar, the brain often uses a mental shortcut. Scientists sometimes call these shortcuts heuristics. A heuristic is a quick rule that helps the mind make decisions without examining every possibility. These rules are useful because life contains too much information for constant detailed analysis. For example, people often assume that something expensive is high quality. Sometimes this is true. Sometimes it is not. People may also believe that an idea supported by many others is probably correct. Group agreement can be valuable evidence, but groups can also be mistaken. The shortcut saves time. It does not guarantee accuracy. Another common shortcut is judging probability by how easily an example comes to mind. After hearing several dramatic stories about a rare danger, the danger may begin to feel common. The mind remembers vivid events more easily than ordinary statistics. A quiet everyday event leaves little emotional trace. A shocking event becomes memorable. Because it is easy to recall, the subconscious may treat it as more likely. This helps explain why people sometimes fear rare events while overlooking common risks. The emotional mind does not count possibilities in the same way a calculator does. It responds to vividness, meaning, and personal experience. A story about one person can feel more powerful than a table containing thousands of numbers. Stories create faces, emotions, and imagined scenes. Statistics require slower reasoning. Both are useful, but they influence the mind differently. The subconscious also pays close attention to loss. In many situations, losing something feels more painful than gaining an equivalent amount feels pleasant. The mind often works harder to avoid loss than to achieve a similar reward. This tendency is called loss aversion. Imagine receiving a small amount of money. It may feel good. Now imagine losing the same amount. The negative feeling may be stronger. From an evolutionary perspective, this caution makes sense. Losing food, shelter, social support, or physical safety could have serious consequences. Protecting what was already possessed may have been more urgent than seeking an uncertain gain. Today, the same tendency influences financial choices, relationships, possessions, and habits. A person may stay with an unhelpful routine because giving it up feels like losing something familiar. They may keep an object they never use because releasing it feels uncomfortable. They may avoid a new opportunity because the possible loss feels more vivid than the possible benefit. The subconscious asks, what might disappear? The conscious mind can also ask, what might become possible? Decisions are influenced by the way choices are presented. Imagine being told that a medical treatment succeeds for most people. Now imagine being given the same information in terms of the percentage for whom it does not succeed. The facts may be mathematically equivalent, yet the emotional response may be different. A statement framed around success may feel reassuring. A statement framed around failure may create hesitation. This is called the framing effect. The subconscious responds not only to information but also to its emotional shape. Words create expectations. The phrase "only a few left" can create urgency. The phrase "most popular" can create social reassurance. The phrase "limited time" can activate fear of missing out. These messages work because they interact with old psychological systems related to scarcity, belonging, and loss. Scarcity makes attention narrow. When something appears limited, the brain gives it greater priority. An object that seemed ordinary may suddenly become desirable when it appears difficult to obtain. This can happen with products, opportunities, relationships, and even time. The less available something seems, the more valuable it may feel. But urgency can weaken careful judgment. When the subconscious believes a chance is disappearing, it encourages fast action. There is less time to compare alternatives or ask whether the desire existed before the pressure appeared. A calm pause can restore choice. Even a few slow breaths may create enough distance for the conscious mind to ask a simple question. Would I still want this without the urgency? The subconscious is also strongly influenced by social information. Human beings evolved in groups. Belonging offered protection, shared resources, knowledge, and care. Rejection could be dangerous. Because of this history, the brain remains highly sensitive to what other people think and do. If many people choose something, it may begin to seem safer. If a group becomes tense, individuals may become tense too. If everyone laughs, a person may feel encouraged to laugh even before fully understanding the joke. This is not always blind conformity. Often, the behavior of others provides useful information. If many people suddenly move away from one area, there may be a reason. If several experienced people agree about a problem, their judgment deserves attention. But group influence can also override private understanding. A person may remain silent even when they believe the group is wrong. The discomfort of disagreement may become stronger than the desire to speak. The subconscious anticipates social consequences. Will I be accepted? Will I look foolish? Will I create conflict? These questions can shape behavior before a conscious decision is made. The body may tense during disagreement. The voice may become quieter. A person may change an answer not because new evidence appeared, but because being different feels unsafe. Recognizing this influence can help restore independence. A useful question is, what would I think if I did not know what the group had chosen? The answer may reveal whether the decision is based on evidence or belonging. Authority also influences the subconscious. Uniforms, titles, confident voices, and professional settings can increase trust. These signals often have practical value because expertise matters. But symbols of authority are not the same as competence. A confident person can be wrong. A hesitant person can be correct. The subconscious often responds to certainty because certainty reduces ambiguity. Someone who speaks clearly can feel more believable than someone who carefully admits uncertainty. Yet honest uncertainty is often a sign of thoughtful reasoning. Reality is complex. A person who understands that complexity may speak with caution. Confidence affects perception, but it should not replace evidence. The subconscious is also shaped by mood. When you feel calm and hopeful, possibilities may seem more available. When you feel tired or discouraged, the same choices may appear limited. Mood acts like a filter. It changes which memories are easiest to retrieve. During sadness, negative memories may rise more quickly. During happiness, positive experiences may become more accessible. The world has not completely changed. Access to information inside the mind has changed. This is one reason major decisions can feel different after sleep, food, movement, or emotional recovery. A tired brain may choose immediate relief. A rested brain may consider long-term consequences. Hunger can increase impatience. Stress can increase habitual behavior. Loneliness can make social rewards more attractive. The subconscious includes the body's current needs in its calculations. You are not making decisions from a separate, purely logical place. You are deciding with a living nervous system. This does not make decisions meaningless. It makes self-awareness important. Before making a difficult choice, it may help to notice your condition. Am I exhausted? Am I afraid? Am I being rushed? Am I trying to avoid discomfort rather than choose what matters? These questions do not remove emotion. They help place emotion in context. The subconscious also influences decisions through anticipation. Dopamine, a chemical messenger involved in motivation and learning, is often described simply as a pleasure chemical. In reality, its role is more complex. It is strongly involved in expectation, reward learning, and the motivation to pursue something. The brain may release motivational signals before a reward arrives. The anticipation itself creates energy. This is why checking for a new message can feel compelling even when the message is not especially important. The possible reward is uncertain. And uncertain rewards can become particularly powerful. Sometimes there is something interesting. Sometimes there is nothing. The unpredictability keeps the brain checking. This principle can shape social media use, games, shopping, and many repetitive behaviors. The subconscious learns that the next attempt might produce a reward. So it encourages one more check, one more scroll, one more possibility. Awareness can interrupt this cycle, not through shame, but through recognition. You can notice the urge as a prediction rather than a command. The brain is saying, perhaps the next action will bring something rewarding. You can answer, perhaps, but I do not need to follow every prediction. This moment between impulse and action is small, yet important. An impulse often rises like a wave. It becomes stronger. Then, if it is not acted upon, it can gradually weaken. The subconscious may present the urge again later, especially if the habit is strong. But every pause provides a new experience. The cue appeared. The old behavior did not automatically follow. A different pathway becomes possible. Decision-making improves when the conscious mind creates a little space. This may involve sleeping before an important choice, writing down alternatives, asking for evidence, or imagining what advice you would give someone else. These actions change perspective. They reduce the power of the immediate emotional frame. Writing can be especially helpful because thoughts become visible. The subconscious may hold several competing feelings at once, but on paper they can be compared more calmly. One part of you may want safety. Another may want change. One may fear regret. Another may fear staying still. A difficult decision is often not a battle between logic and emotion. It may be a conflict between different needs. The subconscious can hold all of them. The goal is not always to silence one side. It is to understand what each side is protecting. Fear may be protecting safety. Excitement may be pointing toward growth. Guilt may be protecting connection. Anger may be protecting a boundary. These feelings provide information, but they do not always provide instructions. You can listen to them without allowing one emotion to decide everything. The final choice can include both feeling and reflection. And tonight, you do not need to make every decision that has been waiting for you. The mind sometimes believes that thinking longer will create certainty. But some uncertainty cannot be removed. At a certain point, continued thinking becomes repetition rather than progress. The subconscious turns the same possibilities again and again, hoping that one will finally feel completely safe. But important choices rarely offer perfect safety. Sometimes the kindest decision is to pause. Let the body rest. Let emotional intensity lower. Let tomorrow's mind examine what tonight's mind cannot resolve. Sleep does not guarantee the correct answer, but it can change the condition in which the answer is considered. For now, allow unfinished choices to remain unfinished. You are not avoiding them. You are giving the brain time to recover. The options can wait quietly outside this moment. Nothing must be selected right now. No door is closing while you breathe. No answer needs to be forced before sleep. And beneath the surface, the subconscious may continue comparing memories, feelings, risks, and possibilities. It can do this gently without your supervision. The conscious mind can release its grip. The body can become heavier. The breath can become quieter. And by morning, what felt tangled may not be solved completely, but it may have a little more space around it. Sometimes clarity does not arrive because we think harder. Sometimes it arrives because the hidden mind is finally given enough silence to hear itself. The unconscious mind behind emotions. As you rest quietly, allow yourself to notice one simple truth. Emotions often begin before words. You may feel a sudden heaviness, warmth, tension, uneasiness, or calm before you can explain what caused it. Sometimes the feeling arrives so quickly that the conscious mind seems to be following behind, trying to create a reason. This happens because emotions are not produced by thought alone. They emerge from a conversation between the brain, the body, memory, attention, and the surrounding environment. Much of this conversation takes place outside conscious awareness. The subconscious mind is constantly evaluating what is happening. Is this familiar? Is it safe? Does it resemble something from the past? Should I approach, avoid, wait, or prepare? These judgments can begin in a fraction of a second. Before you consciously recognize an angry expression, your body may already become slightly more alert. Before you understand why a room feels peaceful, your breathing may have softened. The emotional system works quickly because speed has always been useful. For our ancestors, waiting to analyze every possible danger could have been costly. A sudden movement, unfamiliar sound, or threatening face required an immediate response. The brain developed systems that could prepare the body before conscious reasoning was complete. These systems are still active today. A modern threat may not be a predator in the darkness. It may be criticism, rejection, uncertainty, embarrassment, or the possibility of failure. But the nervous system can react in a similar way. The heart may beat faster. The stomach may tighten. The face may feel warm. The muscles may prepare for movement. The subconscious does not always distinguish clearly between physical danger and social danger. This makes sense when we remember how important belonging has been throughout human history. For most of our existence, surviving alone would have been extremely difficult. Acceptance by the group meant protection, food, shared knowledge, and care. Rejection could be dangerous. So the human brain became deeply sensitive to social signals. A small change in someone's tone can affect us. A delayed reply can create uncertainty. A disapproving expression can remain in memory for hours. The conscious mind may say, "It is not important." The emotional system may disagree. This does not mean you are too sensitive. It means your brain is designed to notice connection. Emotions are sometimes described as separate categories such as happiness, sadness, fear, anger, surprise, and disgust. These labels are useful, but real emotional life is often more complicated. A person may feel relieved and sad at the same time. They may love someone and still feel angry. They may feel excited about change while also wanting everything to remain familiar. The subconscious can hold conflicting responses without needing to choose only one. This is why an emotion may feel confusing. The conscious mind looks for one clear explanation. The deeper mind may be responding to several needs at once. Consider anger. Anger is often treated as a negative emotion that should simply disappear. But anger can contain useful information. It may signal that a boundary has been crossed. It may appear when something feels unfair. It may provide energy to respond to a problem. The emotion itself is not the same as the action that follows. Anger can lead to shouting or aggression, but it can also lead to calm protection, honest communication, or necessary change. The subconscious produces the energy. Conscious awareness can decide how to use it. Fear works in a similar way. Fear is not a weakness. It is a protective response that prepares the body to survive. It increases alertness, directs attention toward possible danger, and encourages caution. Without fear, people would take risks that could easily cause harm. But fear can become overactive. The subconscious may respond to an old pattern as though the old danger was still present. A person who was embarrassed while speaking in public may later feel fear before every presentation. The new audience has not done anything harmful, but the body remembers the earlier experience. The subconscious predicts repetition. This emotional prediction may feel like proof. The heart races, so the situation must be dangerous. The hands shake, so failure must be near. But bodily arousal is not the same as a prediction coming true. It is preparation. The body is saying, "Be ready." Sometimes readiness is useful. Sometimes it is based on outdated information. Sadness also has a purpose. It may slow the body after loss, disappointment, or exhaustion. It can draw attention inward and help a person recognize that something mattered. Sadness may also encourage others to offer comfort and support. Like all emotions, it developed in a social body. The expression of sadness communicates need. Tears, a softer voice, reduced movement, and lowered posture can signal that a person requires care. Crying itself is an unusual human behavior. People cry from grief, joy, pain, relief, frustration, and emotional overwhelm. The physical act may help express what language cannot hold. After crying, some people feel calmer. Others feel tired or exposed. There is no single emotional rule that applies to everyone. The subconscious response depends on personality, history, culture, and context. Joy also involves more than simple pleasure. It can signal that something valuable has occurred. It encourages the mind to remember the event and perhaps repeat the behavior that led to it. Laughter, smiling, and open body language can strengthen social connection. Shared joy tells the group that the moment is safe. When people laugh together, tension may soften. The body becomes more open. Attention widens. This may be one reason humor can be so powerful during difficult periods. It does not erase the problem, but it briefly changes the nervous system state. For a moment, the mind is not preparing for danger. It is connecting. Surprise is another emotion linked to prediction. When the world behaves differently from what the brain expected, attention becomes immediate. The eyes widen. Breathing changes. The mind pauses to gather information. Surprise is short because it exists between not knowing and understanding. Once the event is identified, surprise often transforms into another emotion. A sudden sound may become fear. An unexpected gift may become joy. A familiar face in an unusual place may become confusion or delight. The subconscious first says, "Something changed." Then the brain decides what that change means. Disgust is a protective emotion too. It may help people avoid spoiled food, disease, contamination, or harmful substances. But it can also be shaped by culture and learning. Something considered unpleasant in one place may be normal in another. The emotional system begins with biology, but experience teaches it what to react to. This is true for nearly every emotion. We are born with certain basic capacities, yet life shapes the patterns. A child learns what others fear. They learn which emotions are acceptable to show. They learn whether sadness receives comfort, anger causes punishment, or excitement is welcomed. These lessons may become subconscious. An adult may suppress emotion automatically without knowing when the habit began. Someone may smile when uncomfortable. Another person may become silent when angry. Someone else may speak constantly when nervous. These reactions can look like personality, but they may also be learned methods of protection. At some point, the behavior helped. The subconscious kept it. Emotional habits often continue because they work quickly. The brain does not need to stop and ask how to respond. It uses the familiar pattern. This is why people sometimes react in ways they later regret. The emotional response begins before reflective thinking catches up. A word is spoken. A door is closed. A message is sent. Then, when the body becomes calmer, another perspective appears. This delay does not mean the person has two separate minds. It means different brain systems operate at different speeds. The fast system protects. The slower system evaluates. When emotions are intense, the fast system receives priority. Attention narrows around the source of the feeling. Memory may become selective. The mind begins collecting evidence that supports the current emotional state. During anger, past offenses may return. During fear, possible dangers become easier to imagine. During sadness, losses may feel more vivid. Emotion changes what the mind can access. This is why an argument can feel completely different several hours later. When the nervous system settles, attention widens again. Information that seemed unimportant becomes visible. You remember the other person's intentions. You notice your own exhaustion. You see possible explanations that were hidden by intensity. The facts may be the same. The emotional lens has changed. This is one reason delaying a response can be wise. A pause gives the conscious mind time to join the process. The emotion does not need to be denied. It simply does not need to control the first action. Even a short pause can help. One breath, a glass of water, a walk into another room. A sentence such as, "I need a moment before answering." These small actions change the sequence. Instead of emotion leading directly to behavior, awareness enters between them. This space can grow with practice. It does not remove automatic reactions. The subconscious will continue producing feelings because that is part of its role. But the conscious mind can become better at recognizing the early signals. The tightness in the jaw, the heat in the face, the urge to interrupt, the sudden desire to escape. These are messages, not commands. Emotion regulation does not mean becoming emotionless. It means responding to feelings in ways that remain useful. A calm person still feels anger, fear, grief, and uncertainty. Calmness is not the absence of emotion. It is the ability to remain present while emotion moves through the body. Emotions are often compared to waves because they rise, change, and eventually weaken. At first, the wave may feel permanent. The body says, "This will continue." But emotional intensity naturally shifts. The brain cannot remain at the highest level of one emotional state forever. Even without solving the situation, the physical peak often passes. This is why it can help to notice where an emotion is felt in the body. Not the story around it, just the sensation. Perhaps there is pressure in the chest, a hollow feeling in the stomach, tension around the eyes, a pulse of warmth through the arms. When attention stays with the sensation gently, the experience may become more specific and less overwhelming. Instead of "I am completely afraid," the mind may notice, "There is tightness in my chest and my breathing is quick." This small change in language creates distance. You are not the emotion. You are experiencing it. The subconscious may produce the storm, but awareness can observe the weather. Naming emotions can also help. When a person identifies a feeling as fear, disappointment, shame, jealousy, or grief, the brain may begin organizing the experience. The emotion becomes less mysterious. A vague state of distress gains a shape. Naming does not immediately remove the feeling, but it can reduce confusion. Sometimes people use one emotion to protect themselves from another. Anger may cover hurt. Indifference may cover fear. Constant humor may cover discomfort. Busyness may cover sadness. The protective emotion feels safer because it creates distance from vulnerability. The subconscious chooses what has worked before. A person may not consciously decide to hide one feeling beneath another. The transformation happens automatically. Understanding this can make emotional reactions less frightening. Instead of asking, "Why am I behaving this way?" you might ask, "What feeling is this protecting?" The answer may not arrive immediately. That is all right. The subconscious reveals itself gradually. It does not always respond to direct questioning. Sometimes the answer appears during a walk, a quiet evening, or a conversation with someone trusted. Sometimes the body knows before language does. Emotions are also influenced by interpretation. Imagine hearing footsteps behind you at night. If you believe the sound belongs to a friend, the body may relax. If you believe it belongs to a stranger, fear may rise. The sound is the same. The meaning is different. The brain creates emotion partly from what it believes is happening. This is why changing an interpretation can change a feeling. A racing heart before a performance may be labeled as panic. It can also be labeled as energy. A difficult mistake may be interpreted as failure. It can also be interpreted as information. This does not mean every painful event should be given a positive story. Some experiences are genuinely difficult, but interpretation remains part of the emotional process. The subconscious uses the story available to it. A kinder and more accurate story can change what the body expects. Perhaps instead of saying, "I should not feel this way," you might say, "My nervous system is reacting for a reason." Instead of, "I am weak," you might say, "My body is trying to protect me." These sentences do not approve of every reaction. They create enough safety to understand it. Shame often makes emotional patterns more rigid. Curiosity makes them easier to examine. The subconscious learns poorly when it feels attacked. It learns better when it feels observed without judgment. This is why self-compassion can support change. Self-compassion does not mean avoiding responsibility. It means recognizing difficulty without adding unnecessary cruelty. A person can admit, "I made a mistake," while also remembering, "I am capable of learning." The first statement provides honesty. The second provides safety. Together, they make change more possible. Emotions also need physical recovery. A difficult experience can leave the body activated even after the mind understands it is over. Movement, rest, quiet breathing, warmth, and social connection may help complete the stress response. Talking can help, but words are not always enough. The body may need time. This is especially true after a frightening or exhausting day. You may lie down and expect immediate calm, yet the nervous system continues reviewing what happened. The mind is not refusing to rest. It is slowly returning from alertness. Tonight, you do not need to force that return. You can allow the body to arrive gradually. Perhaps the shoulders soften first. Perhaps the face becomes still. Perhaps the thoughts continue for a while, but they lose some of their emotional weight. Every small shift matters. The subconscious notices the quiet. It notices that nothing is demanding a response. It notices that the body is supported and the breathing continues safely. These signals may not erase every feeling from the day. They do not need to. Emotions do not have to disappear before sleep. They can simply become quieter. They can move farther into the background. You can acknowledge them without opening every story. There may be sadness. There may be worry. There may be hope, relief, loneliness, or gratitude. The mind is large enough to contain more than one feeling, and beneath all of them is the steady work of the body. The heartbeat continues. The breath returns. The nervous system keeps searching for balance. You do not need to supervise this process. For now, you can let every emotion be only a visitor. It can arrive. It can remain for a while. And when it is ready, it can move on. The subconscious may continue sorting what each feeling meant and what it was trying to protect. The conscious mind can rest. Nothing must be solved tonight. Nothing must be pushed away. In this quiet moment, you are allowed simply to feel less deeply, think less urgently, and let the hidden emotional mind settle into the gentle darkness of sleep. Reflexes, automatic reactions, and the mind's hidden protection. As you rest a little more deeply, notice how little effort is required to keep your body safe. You do not consciously plan every blink. You do not calculate how quickly to pull your hand away from something hot. You do not carefully instruct your pupils to change size when the light becomes brighter or darker. These reactions happen automatically. They are part of the nervous system's quiet protective work. A reflex is a rapid response to a stimulus. Some reflexes are present from birth, while others become shaped by learning and experience. They allow the body to react before conscious thought has time to examine every detail. This speed can be extremely important. If you accidentally touch a hot surface, sensory receptors in the skin detect possible damage. A signal travels through nerves toward the spinal cord. The spinal cord can quickly send a message back to the muscles, causing the hand to move away. The conscious brain is informed too, but the protective movement may begin before you fully experience the pain. Your body acts first. Awareness catches up a moment later. This is one of the clearest examples of how the nervous system can respond without waiting for conscious permission. The brain and spinal cord are not ignoring you. They are protecting you from the delay that careful thought would create. Imagine having to consciously decide whether a hot surface was dangerous before moving your hand. The extra time could lead to greater injury. Automatic reactions solve this problem. They turn certain kinds of information into immediate action. The blinking reflex works in a similar way. When an object moves suddenly toward the face, the eyelids close. The head may turn away. The muscles around the eyes tighten. You do not need to know whether the object is truly dangerous. The nervous system prefers to protect the eyes first and examine the situation afterward. This reflects a pattern found throughout subconscious processing. When the possible cost of waiting is high, the brain chooses speed over perfect accuracy. It is better to blink at a harmless movement than fail to blink at a dangerous one. This protective bias can also be seen in the startle response. A sudden loud sound may cause the body to jump. The shoulders rise. The eyes widen. The heartbeat changes. Attention turns immediately toward the source. The reaction can happen before you identify the sound. A door slams. Something falls. A notification rings unexpectedly in a silent room. For a brief moment, the nervous system prepares for uncertainty. Then the conscious mind explains what happened. It was only the wind. It was only a book falling. It was only a familiar sound. The body may calm quickly, but sometimes a small amount of tension remains. The nervous system was activated, and it may need a little time to return to its previous state. This is normal. The body does not instantly erase every protective response just because the conscious mind has found an explanation. Automatic reactions are influenced by both biology and learning. Some responses are built into the nervous system. Others become stronger because the brain connects a certain signal with a certain event. This learning process is often called conditioning. One of the most famous examples involves a neutral sound becoming associated with food. After repeated pairings, the sound alone can trigger a physical response connected with eating. The nervous system learns that one event predicts another. Human beings form similar associations constantly. A particular ringtone may create anticipation. The smell of a hospital may create tension. A school bell may produce a feeling of transition. A certain road may bring back the expectation of arriving home. At first, the signal may have had no special meaning. Experience gave it meaning. The subconscious mind is always looking for predictors. It asks, what usually happens after this? When the same sequence occurs repeatedly, the first event begins preparing the body for the second. This preparation can be useful. The smell of food can start digestive processes before eating begins. The sight of a familiar bed can encourage sleepiness. Putting on exercise clothes may increase readiness for movement. The body prepares in advance. But conditioning can also create difficult reactions. A person who once experienced fear in an elevator may later feel anxious before entering another elevator. The new elevator may be safe, but the nervous system has connected that environment with danger. The body reacts to the prediction. The fear may begin before any conscious thought appears. This is why people sometimes say, "I know it is safe, but my body does not believe me." The conscious mind understands the present. The subconscious is using the past. These two systems can temporarily disagree. The deeper response may feel frustrating because logic alone does not immediately remove it. Yet the reaction is not meaningless. It is evidence that the brain learned something strongly. And because it was learned, it may gradually be updated. New learning often happens through repeated safe experiences. The feared signal appears. The expected danger does not occur. The nervous system notices the difference. At first, the old reaction may remain strong. The body may continue preparing for danger because one safe experience does not erase years of expectation. But repetition matters. Each calm outcome becomes new information. The brain slowly learns that the signal does not always predict the old event. This process is sometimes called extinction learning, although the original association may not disappear completely. Instead, the brain creates a newer, safer association that can compete with the older one. This is why an old fear may briefly return during stress. The original pathway still exists, but the newer pathway can become stronger with practice. The subconscious does not usually erase its protective lessons. It adds new lessons. This is a gentle way to understand emotional change. You do not have to destroy every old reaction. You can build another response beside it. A feeling of fear may still appear, but calm awareness can appear too. An urge to escape may arise, but the body may also remember that it has remained safely before. The old pathway says, "Danger." The new pathway says, "Wait and look again." Over time, the second message may become easier to access. Many automatic reactions are social rather than physical. Someone raises their voice, and you become quiet. Someone appears disappointed, and you immediately apologize. A conversation becomes tense, and you begin smiling or making jokes. These reactions may happen before conscious choice. They can be learned forms of protection. One person may have learned that silence reduces conflict. Another may have learned that pleasing others preserves connection. Someone else may have learned to become aggressive before they can be hurt. The behavior may no longer fit the current situation, but the subconscious continues using the strategy because it once seemed effective. This is important because automatic reactions are often mistaken for fixed personality. A person may say, "I am simply someone who avoids conflict." But avoidance may be a practiced response rather than an unchangeable identity. Another person may say, "I always lose control when I am criticized." Yet the reaction may be a fast protective pattern that can become more flexible. Recognizing a reaction as learned does not excuse harmful behavior, but it makes change easier to imagine. The pattern has a history. It also has the possibility of a different future. The first step is often noticing the reaction early, before the words are spoken, before the body leaves the room, before the old habit completes itself. There may be a small physical signal, a tightening in the throat, a sudden heat in the chest, a feeling of pressure behind the eyes, a change in breathing. These sensations are the beginning of the automatic sequence. When they become familiar, they can serve as a warning that the subconscious is preparing an old response. Awareness may not stop the reaction every time, but it can create a pause. Even 1 second can matter. In that second, the conscious mind may ask, "What is happening now? Is this the present situation, or does it remind me of something older? What response would actually help?" These questions invite slower processing. The subconscious moves quickly because it wants safety. The conscious mind can provide context. Sometimes the automatic response is exactly right. If a car moves unexpectedly toward you, stepping back immediately is useful. If someone behaves in a threatening way, distance may be wise. The goal is not to distrust every instinct. It is to separate useful protection from outdated alarm. This distinction becomes clearer when we look at patterns rather than isolated feelings. Does the reaction appear only in genuinely unsafe situations? Or does it appear in many ordinary situations that share one small feature with the past? Does the response help you afterward? Or does it repeatedly create regret? Does the body settle once new information appears? Or does it remain locked in the old prediction? These questions can reveal whether the reflex is serving the present moment. The brain also develops automatic reactions through imitation. From a very young age, people watch others to understand how to respond. Children notice how adults react to strangers, animals, mistakes, conflict, and uncertainty. If a caregiver becomes frightened by dogs, a child may learn that dogs are dangerous before having a negative experience personally. If mistakes are met with calm curiosity, the child may learn that errors can be corrected. If mistakes are met with anger or humiliation, the body may learn that imperfection is threatening. The subconscious absorbs emotional lessons from observation. We learn not only from what happens to us, we learn from what happens around us. This kind of learning is efficient because it allows the brain to benefit from other people's experience. You do not need to touch every hot object to understand heat. You do not need to face every danger personally. The group teaches, but observed fear can also spread beyond what is necessary. A person may inherit worries, avoidance patterns, or social rules without realizing where they came from. The reaction feels personal. Its origin may be shared. Culture shapes automatic responses too. Eye contact may signal confidence in one setting and disrespect in another. Silence may feel uncomfortable in one group and thoughtful in another. The subconscious learns the rules of the environment. Later, those rules may feel natural and universal, even though they were learned. This helps explain why people from different backgrounds can interpret the same behavior differently. One person sees directness as honesty. Another experiences it as aggression. One sees quietness as politeness. Another interprets it as disinterest. The behavior is filtered through learned expectations. The subconscious compares what happens with what it believes should happen. When the two do not match, discomfort can arise. This discomfort does not necessarily mean anyone has done something wrong. Sometimes it simply means the brain has encountered a different pattern. Curiosity can help the conscious mind update. Instead of assuming, that person is rude, it may ask, could this behavior carry another meaning? This small question makes space for learning. Automatic reactions also occur during communication. Before you understand a sentence fully, tone can shape your response. A gentle voice may make difficult words easier to hear. A cold voice may make neutral words feel threatening. The subconscious pays attention to how something is said. Rhythm, volume, speed, and facial expression provide emotional context. This is why text messages can be misunderstood. Without tone or expression, the brain must guess the emotional meaning. It may fill in the missing information based on mood, history, and expectation. A short reply may seem angry when the sender was only busy. A delayed answer may feel like rejection when the other person simply did not see the message. The subconscious dislikes missing information, so it creates a prediction. Unfortunately, anxious states often create negative predictions. When the body already feels uncertain, ambiguous signals may be interpreted as danger. A pause before reacting can allow other explanations to appear. Maybe the message was not personal. Maybe the expression was caused by tiredness. Maybe the silence does not mean what the first feeling suggested. The automatic interpretation is one possibility. It is not the only possibility. Reflexes are also influenced by attention. If you are waiting for a sound, you react to it more quickly. If you are deeply focused elsewhere, the same sound may barely register. Expectation prepares the nervous system. This can be helpful when driving, playing sports, or performing a skilled task. The brain predicts what may happen and prepares the relevant response. An experienced goalkeeper does not wait until the ball has completed its movement. Tiny clues in posture and direction allow the body to begin responding earlier. A skilled driver notices subtle changes in traffic. A parent recognizes the difference between an ordinary sound and one that requires attention. Practice sharpens automatic reactions. The conscious mind studies the pattern. The subconscious learns to perform it quickly. This is why expertise can look effortless. The effort happened earlier. It happened during repetition, correction, observation, and sleep. Eventually, the skill becomes fast enough to feel instinctive. But even expert reactions can be wrong when the situation changes. A pattern learned in one environment may not apply perfectly in another. The subconscious relies on similarity. The conscious mind checks whether the similarity is meaningful. Again, the two systems work best together. Automaticity provides speed. Reflection provides flexibility. This balance can be trained. When you practice a calm response repeatedly, it can begin to become automatic too. Imagine receiving a stressful message. The old reaction might be to answer immediately. A new routine could be to place the phone down, breathe, reread the words, and respond later. At first, the pause requires effort. With repetition, the pause itself may become the habit. The cue appears. The body notices tension. Instead of moving directly into action, it begins to wait. Calm can become a learned reflex. Not perfect calm. Not the absence of emotion. Just a familiar pathway back towards steadiness. This is one of the most hopeful facts about the subconscious. It can automate fear, but it can also automate recovery. It can learn tension, but it can also learn release. A person can practice lowering their shoulders when stress appears. They can practice speaking more slowly during conflict. They can practice asking one question before making an assumption. Over time, these responses may require less conscious effort. The subconscious begins protecting peace instead of only protecting against danger. Rest itself can become conditioned. A familiar blanket, low light, gentle music, or calm narration may become a cue. The body recognizes the sequence and begins preparing for sleep. Breathing slows. Movement decreases. Thoughts become less organized. The nervous system learns that these signals usually lead to safety and stillness. This is why consistent bedtime routines can feel so powerful. They are not merely pleasant traditions. They are lessons repeated for the subconscious. The same actions happen in the same order. The same environment appears. The same outcome follows. Night after night, the brain builds the connection. And tonight, as you listen, that learning may already be happening. The quiet voice is present. Your body is supported. The outside world asks less of you. There is nothing approaching your face, nothing hot beneath your hand, nothing that requires a startle or escape. The protective systems can remain ready without being active. They do not have to disappear. They can simply become quiet. Your reflexes will continue guarding you while you sleep. You do not need to stay consciously alert. The body can respond to what truly matters. The ears can continue monitoring the room. The nervous system can continue adjusting breathing, temperature, and position. You are allowed to release responsibility for these things. The hidden mind has carried them all your life. So let the eyelids remain heavy. Let the hands become still. Let the jaw loosen. Every softening movement tells the subconscious that immediate defense is unnecessary. Perhaps an old thought will still create a brief reaction. Perhaps the body will tense and relax again. That is all right. Calm does not have to be perfectly uninterrupted. It only needs to return. And each time it returns, the pathway becomes a little more familiar. The subconscious notices. It learns that a sound can be only a sound. A thought can be only a thought. A sensation can rise and pass without requiring action. The body can prepare and then release. The mind can notice and then let go. These are quiet forms of learning. Small enough to be missed. Powerful enough to reshape a life. And as you drift closer to sleep, the oldest protective parts of the nervous system can continue their work in the background, while the conscious mind becomes softer, slower, and less involved. You do not have to guard the night. You do not have to stay prepared. Your reflexes know how to protect you. Your body knows how to respond. And for now, the safest and most natural reaction may be the simplest one of all. To become still, to breathe gently, and to sleep. The quiet influence of the unconscious mind. As you rest here, close to sleep, imagine that your conscious mind is like the surface of a calm lake. On the surface, you can see thoughts passing through awareness. A sentence, a memory, a small worry, the sound of a voice, the feeling of your body resting. But beneath that surface is a much deeper world. There are old associations, emotional patterns, learned movements, forgotten impressions, predictions, instincts, and memories that rarely become clear thoughts. This hidden activity is not separate from you. It is part of you. The unconscious mind is not a secret person living inside the brain. It is not a mysterious force controlling every decision from the darkness. It is simply the name we give to the enormous amount of mental activity that happens outside immediate awareness. And nearly every moment of life depends on it. When you recognize a face, understand the emotional tone of a voice, catch an object before it falls, or complete a familiar sentence, the brain is using information faster than conscious thought could manage. The answer appears. The calculation remains hidden. This is one reason consciousness can feel so effortless. You do not usually experience the thousands of small processes required to understand a single word. You hear the sound, recognize its pattern, connect it with meaning, place it inside a sentence, and compare it with what came before. All of this happens quickly. The conscious mind receives the meaning as though it arrived in one simple piece. But underneath, the brain has performed remarkable work. The same is true of vision. When you look around a room, you do not see disconnected lines, colors, shadows, and movements. You see objects. A chair, a window, a person, a lamp. The brain organizes raw sensory information into a meaningful world. It fills in missing details. It separates one object from another. It estimates distance. It predicts movement. Most of this happens without awareness. You experience the result, not the construction. This means that perception is not simply a window through which reality enters the mind. Perception is an active process. The brain builds an interpretation of the world from sensory signals, memory, and expectation. Usually, this interpretation is accurate enough to guide us safely. But it is still an interpretation. Two people can observe the same event and remember it differently because their attention, emotions, experiences, and expectations were different. One person notices a friendly expression. Another notices uncertainty. One remembers the exact words. Another remembers the feeling. The event is shared. The inner experience is unique. The unconscious mind helps create this uniqueness. Everything you have lived through has shaped what your brain expects. Your language influences how you organize ideas. Your culture influences which behaviors feel normal. Your relationships influence what safety, closeness, criticism, and trust feel like. Your repeated experiences influence what catches your attention. Much of this influence is invisible because it developed gradually. A belief rarely appears fully formed in one moment. It grows from repeated messages, observations, rewards, disappointments, and emotional reactions. Eventually, the belief can feel like a simple fact. A person may think, "People cannot be trusted," or "I must always be useful," or "Mistakes are dangerous," or "I am not good at learning." These ideas may not feel like learned conclusions. They may feel like reality itself. The unconscious mind often hides the path through which a belief was created. It presents the final expectation. This is useful because the brain cannot reconsider every belief in every moment. It needs stable assumptions to make fast decisions. But assumptions can become outdated. A rule learned in childhood may continue influencing adult life. A habit formed in one difficult period may remain after the situation changes. A fear connected with one person may appear in new relationships. The unconscious mind does not update only because time has passed. It updates when new experiences provide different evidence. This is why awareness is so valuable. When an automatic belief enters consciousness, it can finally be examined. You may notice yourself thinking, "I always fail." Then you can ask whether that sentence is completely true. Perhaps there were failures, but perhaps there were also attempts, improvements, and successes that the mind did not emphasize. The unconscious often simplifies. The conscious mind can add detail. It can replace always with sometimes. It can replace impossible with difficult. It can replace "this is who I am" with "this is a pattern I learned." Small changes in language matter because they change the shape of expectation. A fixed statement closes possibility. A flexible statement leaves room for new evidence. The goal is not to force positive thinking or deny real difficulty. The goal is accuracy. A thought such as "everything will be perfect" may not feel believable. But "I can handle one step" may be both kind and realistic. The unconscious mind responds more deeply to repeated experience than to words alone. Still, words can guide attention toward new experiences. When you say, "I am learning to respond calmly," you may begin noticing the moments when calm does appear. When you say, "I am becoming more patient," you may recognize a small pause that previously went unnoticed. Attention collects evidence. Evidence strengthens belief. Belief influences future attention. The mind is constantly building loops. Some loops increase fear. Others increase confidence. Some strengthen avoidance. Others strengthen curiosity. The subconscious is shaped by whatever pattern is repeated most consistently. This does not mean you are responsible for every automatic thought. Many patterns began before you understood them. It means change remains possible. Neuroplasticity allows the brain to adapt throughout life. New connections can form. Old pathways can weaken. New responses can become more accessible. But the process is usually gradual. A deeply learned pattern is like a path traveled for many years. One decision does not immediately remove it. The old path may remain visible. The mind may return to it during fatigue, stress, or uncertainty. This is not proof that change has failed. It is proof that the old pathway is familiar. Each time you choose the new path, it becomes easier to find. The subconscious learns through repetition rather than perfection. One calm response does not need to replace every anxious reaction. One boundary does not need to remove every old habit of pleasing others. One evening of rest does not need to solve years of stress. Change can be small and still be real. The unconscious mind also influences creativity. An idea may seem to appear suddenly, but often it has been forming quietly. Information gathered from different moments becomes connected outside awareness. A memory combines with a new observation. A sentence joins with an image. A problem is compared with something that seems unrelated. Then the connection rises into consciousness. You experience the moment of discovery. You do not experience all the hidden preparation. This is why breaks can help when concentration stops producing results. The conscious mind may become trapped in one way of thinking. It repeats the same steps and reaches the same conclusion. When attention shifts to something else, the unconscious can continue processing the problem more freely. Walking, resting, showering, and sleeping may allow distant ideas to connect. The answer is not guaranteed, but mental space increases possibility. The unconscious mind is especially active during periods of reduced external demand. Daydreaming is one example. When attention is not fixed on a task, thoughts begin wandering through memory, imagination, plans, and social situations. This wandering may seem unproductive, but it can help the brain organize identity, imagine the future, and understand relationships. During a daydream, you may rehearse a conversation that has not happened. You may revisit one that already occurred. You may imagine living in another place or completing an important goal. The mind creates simulations. These simulations allow you to explore possibilities without physically entering them. They can prepare you for action, but they can also become repetitive. A helpful simulation leads toward understanding or preparation. An anxious simulation may repeat the same feared outcome without creating a next step. The difference is not always obvious. One useful question is whether the thinking produces new information. If the mind has repeated the same possibility many times, it may no longer be solving the problem. It may be seeking certainty that cannot be obtained. The unconscious prefers certainty because certainty reduces surprise. But life does not always provide it. Learning to tolerate some uncertainty is a form of subconscious retraining. The nervous system expects a complete answer. Instead, it experiences waiting. At first, waiting may feel uncomfortable. Then nothing terrible happens. The body learns that uncertainty can exist without immediate danger. This lesson grows through repetition. Many emotional patterns work in the same way. A person may believe that every uncomfortable feeling must be removed quickly. So sadness is avoided. Anxiety is fought. Loneliness is covered with distraction. Anger is pushed away. But the struggle itself can sometimes make the feeling more important. The unconscious receives the message that the emotion must be dangerous. Acceptance sends a different signal. It says, "This feeling is uncomfortable, but it can be experienced." Acceptance does not mean liking the emotion. It means allowing it to exist without treating it as an emergency. When a feeling is allowed to rise and fall, the nervous system learns that it can survive the experience. The subconscious updates. The emotion is no longer proof of danger. It becomes a temporary state. This is one reason mindfulness can affect unconscious habits. When a thought appears, it is noticed. When an emotion rises, it is felt. But the person does not immediately act. The old sequence is interrupted. Trigger. Feeling. Pause. Choice. At first, the pause may be very small. With practice, it can become wider. Inside that space, conscious intention gains influence. You may not choose the first thought. You may not choose the first emotion, but you can gradually become more able to choose the next action. This is not absolute control. Human beings are affected by biology, history, environment, and circumstance. Still, a small area of choice can change an entire pattern over time. The unconscious mind also responds strongly to imagination. When you vividly imagine an action, parts of the brain involved in performing that action may become active. This is why mental rehearsal can support physical practice. A musician can imagine a performance. An athlete can mentally rehearse movement. A speaker can picture standing calmly before an audience. The imagination does not fully replace real experience, but it can prepare the nervous system. It makes the situation less unfamiliar. The subconscious begins building a possible pathway before the event occurs. Imagined safety can also have a calming effect. A person may picture a quiet room, a familiar landscape, or the presence of someone trusted. The body may respond with a small reduction in tension. Again, this is not magic. The brain uses internal images as information. A vivid memory of safety can activate some of the same systems that responded during the original experience. This is why a comforting voice can remain powerful long after the person is gone. The sound is remembered. The feeling connected with it returns. The unconscious stores relationships as patterns of expectation. Certain people become associated with safety. Others become associated with alertness. A warm and dependable relationship can help the nervous system regulate. The brain learns that distress can be followed by comfort. This is especially important early in life. A child cannot always calm intense emotion alone. They rely on the voice, touch, expression, and presence of caregivers. Through repeated experiences of being comforted, the child gradually learns how calm feels. The external relationship becomes part of the internal system. Later, the person may use a gentle inner voice that resembles the care they once received. Or, if that care was missing, they may learn to develop a kinder inner voice in adulthood. The subconscious can receive new emotional experiences at any age. Supportive friendships, therapy, stable relationships, and self-compassion can all provide new evidence. The mind learns that closeness does not always lead to pain. That mistakes do not always lead to humiliation. That asking for help does not always lead to rejection. Repeated safety reshapes expectation. One experience rarely changes everything, but no experience is meaningless. The unconscious mind is influenced not only by major events but also by tiny daily repetitions. How you speak to yourself after a mistake, whether you rest when tired, whether you respect a small boundary, whether you pause before reacting, whether you allow one peaceful moment without guilt. These actions may seem too small to matter, but the subconscious pays attention to patterns. Each act becomes a vote for the kind of response that will feel natural in the future. This is why rest is more than the absence of work. Rest teaches the body that stillness is allowed. For some people, stillness initially feels uncomfortable. The mind becomes busy. Old worries rise. The body searches for the next task. This may happen because constant activity became associated with safety, value, or control. Stopping removes the familiar protection. But with gentle repetition, rest can become safer. The body learns that nothing collapses during a pause. The world continues. Worth does not disappear. The nervous system begins separating stillness from danger. Sleep is perhaps the deepest practice of letting go. Every night, consciousness becomes less involved. Control softens. The outside world fades. And the body continues without supervision. The heart beats. The lungs breathe. Temperature is adjusted. Memories are processed. Muscles repair. The immune system performs important work. You trust the unconscious body with your life every night. You may not think of it as trust, but that is what sleep requires. You stop monitoring the room. You stop controlling the breath. You allow awareness to disappear for a while. And the hidden systems continue. This may be one of the most relaxing facts about the unconscious mind. You are supported by processes you do not need to understand in order to benefit from them. You do not need to know how every heartbeat is regulated. You do not need to supervise memory storage. You do not need to direct every stage of sleep. The body knows patterns older than conscious thought. It has been practicing them since before birth. Even when the mind is uncertain, the body continues. Even when thoughts are confused, breathing returns. Even when emotion is intense, the nervous system keeps searching for balance. You are not held together by conscious effort alone. Much of life happens through quiet cooperation beneath awareness. This does not mean the unconscious mind is always wise. It can carry fear, bias, habit, and outdated beliefs. It can misinterpret signals. It can protect too strongly. But it can also learn. It can soften. It can form new associations. It can become more flexible through patient experience. The unconscious is not a fixed destiny. It is a living system. And tonight, as you listen, it may be learning something simple. The sound of a gentle voice can mean safety. Stillness does not require vigilance. A thought can pass without being followed. An emotion can exist without becoming an emergency. The day can remain unfinished. Sleep can arrive without effort. You do not have to remember every fact from this journey. Perhaps only a few ideas will remain. Maybe you will remember that intuition is rapid pattern recognition. That habits are pathways strengthened by repetition. That memory is reconstructed rather than replayed. That emotions begin in the body before they receive names. That dreams may help organize experience. That calm itself can become learned. Or perhaps you will remember nothing clearly. That is all right. The purpose of this moment is not perfect memory. It is gentle attention. It is allowing the mind to be curious without becoming alert. It is letting knowledge drift past like quiet stars. Some disappear behind clouds. Some remain visible. All belong to the same vast sky. Your subconscious mind is like that sky, larger than the thoughts you can see, filled with movement that continues in darkness, not empty when consciousness becomes quiet, simply working in another way. So let the final thoughts of the day become softer now. There is nothing more you need to understand. No hidden part of yourself needs to be discovered tonight. No memory needs to be recovered. No habit needs to be changed before morning. Awareness itself is enough. Rest itself is enough. The unconscious mind can continue its work without your help. It can sort the day. It can weaken what is no longer needed. It can strengthen what matters. It can move through memory, emotion, and imagination while the conscious mind becomes still. Notice the breath once more. It arrives without being called. It leaves without being pushed. Another breath comes. And another. This rhythm has continued through every thought, every dream, every fear, and every peaceful moment of your life. It belongs to the hidden intelligence of the body. You can trust it now. Let your attention move away from the words. Let the room become distant. Let the body feel heavy and supported. The subconscious does not need a final instruction. It already understands the quiet. It recognizes the darkness. It knows the familiar path towards sleep. And as the conscious mind fades gently from the surface, the deeper mind will remain beneath it, breathing, remembering, learning, and protecting you through the peaceful night.